Chapter 679. Azure Phoenix Immortal, the 12 Capital Demon God Scripture. Kill! The Azure Phoenix Immortal, tall and slender in stature, summoned a green-gold long halberd in her hand, akin to a female war deity. She burst forth from the Great Formation, charging towards the Diamond Ape King. Her entire body shone with divine splendor. Even her hair strands seemed to be tinged with a pale golden luster beneath her armor. Boom! The green-gold halberd slashed across, erupting with endless radiance, almost tearing the very fabric of the heavens and earth. Screech! The Azure Phoenix Immortal's third-ranked Qing Yuan, perched beneath her, also shrieked. Its wings unfurled as the winds howled and the hurricane swiftly arose, accompanied by waves of azure flames, targeting the Diamond Ape King. Roar! Facing this onslaught, the Diamond Ape King roared towards the heavens, its fur shining brilliantly like an indestructible glaze of Vajra, its fists mountainous, hurtled towards the Azure Phoenix Immortal. From a distance, the third-ranked Demon Kings, the Thundercloud Sparrow and the iron-backed Kuei Bear, also joined the fray. Simultaneously, from within the Azure Phoenix Immortal City, orderly ranks of Luan birds ascended to the sky, covering it dome-like. Stationed above the Immortal City, they formed a mysterious array, impressively powerful, radiating an intimidating spiritual pressure that bore an indescribable oppression. Everyone, please remain calm. Our Azure Phoenix Immortal City has the absolute capability to ensure everyone's safety. Moving forward, please cooperate with our defense operations. In return for your contributions, early-stage Qi refinement practitioners will receive 1 battle merit daily, mid-stage practitioners will receive 3, and late-stage practitioners will get 10. At this time, the person in charge within the Azure Phoenix Immortal City spoke, their voice spreading throughout the entire city, urging all to lend their strength to the defense. By Lake Mountain, by Yun Peak. A simple and spacious alchemy room. Lu Chongqing sat cross-legged on a cushion, watching the crimson flames flicker beneath the pill furnace. He could smell waves of fragrance wafting out from the furnace. Lu Chongqing immediately struck the furnace with several spells, followed by a sweeping motion of his hand. The furnace lid blasted open. Hot waves tumbled and surged as a burst of light sprang forth from within the furnace. Lu Chongqing instantly took a jade bottle in hand, capturing the radiance inside. Not bad. 18 pills in a single furnace run. He looked at the elixir medicines in the jade bottle, his face showing satisfaction. Soon after, Lu Chongqing went to his own fish nursery, pinched a spell between his fingers, and 7 blackwater dragonfish and 5 blackwater dragon serpents rose to the surface of the water. Go! Lu Chongqing fed the spirit-nurturing elixirs from the porcelain jar. Then, with another gesture of his hands, he alternately cast the spiritual light method and commanding generals and soldiers method over the 12 Dao soldiers, nurturing their innate spirit and dragon nature to accelerate their growth. After completing this series of tasks, Lu Chongqing sighed. It's no wonder there are so few powers that breed Dao soldiers. This thing is not only expensive but also time-consuming. I find it troublesome with just 12. How do those powers manage to raise hundreds of them? Lu Chongqing lamented as he gazed at the Dao soldiers in the lake. He planned to wait until Bai Ling broke through to the Foundation establishment stage before letting Bai Ling raise the Blackwater Jiao Dragon Dao soldiers. Since she practiced the Black Dragon Codex, once she formed her Dragon King Dao Foundation, she would have an enhanced effect on nurturing aquatic species, especially the Blackwater Jiao Dragon Dao soldiers. After feeding his Dao soldiers, Lu Chongqing took a quick tour of the fish nursery, and then returned to the Lu family mansion to spend time with his wives and visit the son born by Xia Ziyue. Even though the child benefited from Xia Ziyu's spirit-nurturing physique, he possessed only a 5th-grade spiritual root. On this matter, Lu Chongqing wasn't overly concerned. With the advancement of his spiritual root to 2nd grade, his pursuit of spiritual root potential had become much more indifferent. After all, whether it was 5th grade or 4th grade, they were almost the same, certainly not up to his own 2nd grade. After having lunch with his wives, Lu Chongqing returned to Chongqing Hall to heal Ling Zixiao with the 9 treasures Rui bone. At that moment, a system notification echoed in Lu Changsheng's mind. Congratulations to the host on the breakthrough of 30 descendants to martial Dao innate, earning a bloodline effect. Increments in offspring propagation probability by 5%, plus 1 chance for a lucky draw. 30 huh? Upon hearing the system notification, Lu Chongqing revealed a slight smile. After he finished treating Ling Zixiao, the two shared a tender moment before Lu Chongqing made his way to his private cultivation cavern. Bloodline effect, plus 25% spiritual root probability, plus 20% offspring propagation. With such bloodline effects, it would be a pity not to have more children. Lu Chongqing noted the effects listed under the bloodline section of his system panel, thinking to himself. Considering that he had only sired 8 children in the last 3 years, he felt he had been too sluggish. Currently, the family was still in a semi-seclusion state, with Ling Zixiao still recovering from serious injuries, and Xiaofan stationed in by Lake Mountain. He couldn't very well go out philandering. Although White Jade Tower was an option, now was not a good time to visit. Still, there aren't many suitable maids left at home now. It's time to add a few more. Lu Chongqing planned to visit White Jade Tower once things had stabilized at home and Ling Zixiao had mostly recovered. System, draw the lottery. After a moment of wishful thinking, Lu Chongqing silently invoked the command in his mind. Suddenly, the system roulette emerged, gleaming with golden light. Ding! Congratulations to the host for obtaining the cultivation technique, 12 Capital Demon Spirit Art. The reward has been distributed to the system space. The host may check at any time. A radiant jade scroll pattern appeared, accompanied by the system notification sound. Another cultivation technique? And it's a demonic cultivation technique? Lu Chongqing furrowed his brows as he saw the reward. He really didn't want to draw cultivation techniques from the lottery wheel anymore. Because he had so many cultivation techniques, drawing more had become impractical. The last lottery draw resulted in a cultivation technique, and this time, it was yet another cultivation technique. Moreover, by the name of it, it was a demonic cultivation technique. In Jiang country where he resided, an orthodox force strictly struck down on the demon path. Under such circumstances, he couldn't possibly cultivate an excellent demonic cultivation technique if given one. Lu Chongqing looked at the cultivation technique inside the system space. Cultivation technique, 12 Capital Demon Spirit Art. Grade. Orthodox level. Description. Contemplate on the 12 capital demon spirits, gather demon thoughts, refine the body, mana, and spirit, and sacrifice to the 12 capital demon spirits. Contemplate on the 12 capital demon spirits, refining body, mana, and spirit? Lu Chongqing's eyebrows twitched as he looked at the introduction of the cultivation technique in front of him. Currently, for his physical body, he had the 100 Refinements Treasure Body Art. For mana, he had the 7 Luminaries Great Freedom Sword Scripture. But for spirit and divine sense, he only had the Purple Mansion Nourishing Spirit Art, given to him by Xiaofan. Since the effects of this technique were average, Lu Chongqing didn't cultivate it much. He had always wanted a more powerful spiritual cultivation technique that could give him a shortcut like the 100 Refinements Treasure Body technique. I wonder if this 12 Capital Demon Spirit Art contains such an advanced spiritual method. Lu Chongqing looked at the cultivation technique within the system space. His mind slightly moved, and he activated it. Let's see if this cultivation technique could bring him some surprises. The next moment, the details, relevant content, and crucial points on how to practice the 12 Capital Demon Spirit Art surged into his mind like divine inspiration. The 12 Capital Demon Spirit Art is 1/3 Qi refinement, 1/3 body refinement, and 4 parts spirit refinement. Once cultivated successfully, 12 demon spirits are refined within the body, each capable of reaching the same cultivation realm as the cultivator, and the 12 demon spirits can form the 12 Capital Demon Evil Formation. Hiss! This cultivation technique is quite badass. Lu Chongqing opened his eyes, digesting the cultivation technique in his mind. He couldn't help but marvel at the domineering power of this technique. It felt even more formidable than the 7 Luminaries' Great Freedom Sword Scripture that he was practicing. It not only cultivated spirit, qi, and mana jointly, but also contained various formidable techniques and divine skills. For instance, contemplating the thoughts of heaven and earth demons, sacrificing 12 demon spirits. Once the 12 demons reach minor accomplishment, one could basically be invincible at the same rank. If the 12 demon spirits reach major accomplishment, fighting beyond one's realm is not an issue at all. There's also the life-bound magic treasure, the Capital Demon Evil Flag. Once the 72 demon evil flags are raised, they are in no way inferior to the 7 Luminaries Star Sword formation from the 3rd layer of the 7 Luminaries Great Freedom Sword Scripture. Beyond these main techniques, there are also Capital Demon Flame, Capital Demon God Dismantling Technique, Capital Demon God Blood Ignition Escape Technique. Do demonic and heretical cultivation techniques usually come with more complementary techniques and divine skills? Lu Chongxing pondered as he looked at the 12 capital demon spirit art. Of all the cultivation techniques he had obtained from the lottery, the one with the most included techniques was Yin-Yang Harmony technique. Next would be this 12 capital demon spirit art. Although each layer of his 7 luminaries' Great Freedom Sword scripture had its unique effects and complementary cultivation techniques, comparatively, there were fewer. Sigh, but no matter how powerful, it's useless. I can't abandon the 7 luminaries to switch to cultivating this demonic technique. I can only wait till I reach nascent soul stage, then see which family member has the talent for the demon path, and pass this technique on. For now, the useful parts of this cultivation technique for me are the demon god contemplation technique, the mental cultivation method, and the 2 techniques for escaping danger when one's life is threatened, the capital demon god dismantling technique and capital demon god blood ignition escape technique. Lu Chongxing shook his head slightly and sighed, somewhat disappointed. He felt this cultivation technique will just gather dust. Chapter 680. Looking back after 25 years on art 1 month later. Qingyun sect. On the misty white jade square filled with celestial aura, hundreds of young men and women left with heavy hearts and low spirits. Yunlu, Xingyue, remember to cultivate diligently within Qingyun sect and feel free to send a message home if anything comes up. You can also seek help from your uncles Han and Zhao, and your auntie Zhao. Lu Chongxing spoke to his children before him. Today marked the once every 5 years immortal sex exam of Qingyun sect. Since Hong Yi had sent his son, Hong Xuanji, to participate in the immortal sex exam at Qingyun sect, Lu Chongxing thought it over and decided to have several of his children take the exam as well. After all, cultivating at an immortal sect and learning skills in many aspects was indeed better than at home. Moreover, Qingyun sect wasn't far from home. Sending the children there meant they would not only receive the family's training but also that of the sect. However, only those under 18 could participate in the Qingyun sect exam, so naturally, Lu Pingon, Lu Yun, and Lu Chuanjin couldn't take part. Hence, out of the 8 children he chose to send for the immortal sex discipleship exam, only his son Lu Yunlu and daughter Lu Xingyue, both with 6th grade spiritual roots, passed the assessment. The other 6 children, along with Hong Xuanji, failed to make it through the exam. Through connections, Lu Chongxing also had a rough understanding of Qingyun sect's criteria for accepting disciples. Spiritual root, perseverance, comprehension, Tao heart. The assessment was based on these 4 areas. But there was another unspoken criterion. Age. Like Hong Xuanji with a 7th grade spiritual root, performed well in all 3 aspects of the exam but was disqualified because he was 18 years old. Brother-in-law, rest assured, I will take good care of Yunlu and Xingyue, said a good-looking young man in his late 20s, standing tall and wearing the Qingyun sect disciple's magical robe, next to him. It was Xia Zizhu's brother, Xia Zhaoyang. With a 4th grade spiritual root, he was doing quite well in Qingyun sect, with a cultivation level of 8th level energy refinement, and he had hopes to reach foundation establishment in the future. All right, in that case, I'm counting on you to look after Yunlu and Xingyue, Lu Chongxing said to his brother-in-law with a nod and a smile. He hadn't interacted much with Xia Zhaoyang, only conversing a few times. However, his impression of the man was decent, not one of heartlessness or unfaithfulness. After giving his instructions, Lu Chongxing walked down from the white jade square, leaving with the 6 children who had been eliminated and Hong Xuanji. Xingyue, Yunlu, although you've passed the exam, you are only outer disciples. Besides cultivation, you need to choose a skill to learn. Which skill do you plan to study? Xia Zhaoyang asked, turning to the 2 nieces and nephews. However, the look he gave Lu Xingyue was noticeably more affectionate. He had been cared for by his sister Xia Zizhu since he was a child. Over the years at Qingyun sect, Xia Zizhu often sent him a portion of her own cultivation resources and accumulated spirit stones. Thus, he always kept this familial love in his heart. Father said I can choose medicine, Lu Xingyue replied crisply. Although she had met this uncle several times, she still wasn't very familiar with him, and her voice held a hint of estrangement. Father told me to choose artifact refining, Lu Yunlu said. Good, I'll take you there, Xia Zhaoyang said, nodding his head and leading them away. Even though Qingyun sect had uniform arrangements, as a disciple of Qingyun sect, He knew some of the ins and outs. For instance, if the sect knew someone had a family member there, they were typically escorted by that member, which meant the outer disciples in charge might show a little more care and attention. At the entrance of Qing Yun's sect, many young men and women who failed to pass the exam left with sorrowful and disappointed expressions, some even crying out loud. Under such circumstances, Lu Changsheng's other 6 children were also downcast, pressing their lips tightly together. Seeing this scene, Lu Changsheng couldn't help but reminisce about his own feelings upon learning that he had been rejected by Qing Yun's sect 25 years ago. He patted his children's heads and said with an air of calm, "It's all right if you didn't pass. I wanted you to gain some experience by bringing you here. Xuanji, you shouldn't take it too hard either." Lu Changsheng didn't feel too strongly about the children's failure to pass because he had anticipated it, and he also maintained an indifferent attitude about it. They walked out of the mountain gate, where Hong Yi was eagerly waiting outside. His face immediately fell upon seeing Lu Changsheng and his son exiting. He had high hopes for his son, Hong Xuanji, wanting him to join an immortal sect and surpass himself. But now, seeing his son walk out of the gate, he knew the boy hadn't passed the exam. "Brother Lu, Xuanji." Hong Yi greeted Lu Changsheng with a hand-over-fist salute. Xuanji did well in several areas of the exam, but he was disqualified because he's a little too old, Lu Changsheng explained to Hong Yi. "Father, I have let you down," Hong Xuanji said, slightly bowing his head to his father. He knew how much his father wished for him to be accepted into Qing Yun's sect. It's okay," Hong Yi sighed deeply, patted his son's shoulder, and didn't say much more. Many others, like Hong Yi, showed sadness and disappointment when they saw their children or younger family members walking out of the gate. Most of them, being loose cultivators, understood the hardship of such a path and wished for their offspring to be admitted into an immortal sect. "Brother Hong, Xuanji is quite talented and intelligent, and he will not fare poorly in the future even if he hasn't joined an immortal sect. We ourselves were once rejected by Qing Yun's sect as well, weren't we?" Lu Changsheng said to comfort him. "If Xuanji's future turns out a bit like mine, that would be decent, but it's audacious to compare him with you, Brother Lu," Hong Yi said, with a bitter smile on his face. Then, turning to Lu Changsheng, he said with a hand-over-fist salute, "Brother Lu, I have an audacious request." "Ha, Brother Hong, just speak freely." Lu Changsheng laughed lightly and replied, guessing somewhat what Hong Yi was about to ask. "I was hoping, Brother Lu, that you could let Xuanji continue to work at by Lake Mountain." Chapter 681. Looking back after 25 years, Hong Yi took a deep breath and spoke these words. Although he had assumed the position of Marquis of Rui and governed a worldly territory, he knew all too well that he had reached an impasse. If his son, Hong Xuanji, were to return home with him and take over affairs, there would be hardly any possibility for him to hope for foundation establishment in this lifetime. If he continued to follow Lu Changsheng, it went without saying that he would have no need to speculate about the ethereal matter of future foundation establishment. At the very least, after Hong's own death, the two families could continue to maintain their relationship and friendship. With this relationship and friendship, his Hong family would not fare too poorly in days to come. What trouble is this? If Xuanji wishes, he may continue to cultivate at Blue Lake Mountain. Xuanji is very capable in his duties, far stronger than some of the good-for-nothing children in my family, Lu Changsheng said with a smile. He didn't mind such matters. On one hand was Hong Yi's relationship and friendship. It was only natural for him to look after someone's son if he helped them manage worldly affairs. Besides, Hong Xuanji had been nurtured by Hong Yi since childhood. In terms of interpersonal skills and capabilities, he was top-notch. Having spent this past year working in the wine brewing workshop under the supervision of Lu Chuanjin, he performed better than many of Lu's own children. "Many thanks, Brother Lu." Upon hearing this, Hong Yi quickly clasped his hands and bowed, then turned to his son and said, "Xuanji, haven't you thanked Uncle Lu yet?" "Thank you, Uncle Lu," Hong Xuanji said respectfully. Hong Yi had long told him that he did not wish for him to inherit the title of Marquis of Rui. He hoped that Xuanji could one day establish the cultivating Hong family. "Haha, no need for such thanks for such a trifling matter. You're young, no need to be so stiff. Just relax." Lu Changsheng laughed and patted the shoulder of the nephew warmly. What's this?" As they chatted and walked, Lu Changsheng saw several figures in magical robes ahead, saying something to the immortal seedlings who had been eliminated by the Qing Yun sect. Our White Tiger Mountain Zhao family is now recruiting 10 sons-in-law and offers spiritual vein-blessed lands and cultivation manuals. As for the requirements, one only needs to sire a middle-grade spiritual root within 20 years or 5 children with lower-grade spiritual roots. Young friend, our Yen family fort is recruiting outsiders. Once you join, you're one of us. We of Purple Cloud Ridge are recruiting cultivators of spiritual fields, providing teachings for cultivation, food, and lodging. You only need to sign a 50-year indenture. When Lu Chongxing saw this scene, he immediately knew what was happening. There were cultivator families and forces here to recruit people. At that moment, he couldn't help but recall the sunset on this mountain path 25 years ago when he walked the same route. Back then, Lu Yuanding came forward to recruit sons-in-law, just like these people. But hearing the demands of these few families, Lu Chongxing couldn't help but sigh that it was damn exploitative. It must have been 5 years ago that the Qingyun sect retaliated against the Xiahou clan and the events of the demon path, leading to frequent occurrences of robber cultivators, causing many families to suffer losses, Hongyi said upon seeing this scene. Rui Marquis Mansion, being a bottom-tier power in the cultivation world, was fairly knowledgeable about such matters. I see. Lu Chongxing nodded slightly upon hearing this explanation. Greetings, brother-in-law. Just then, a man in his 30s dressed in a blue robe saw Lu Chongxing and came forward to greet him with a bow. Miaochuan, you're here too? Lu Chongxing recognized the person, an offspring from the legitimate line of the Lu family of Qingzhou Mountain. I am here, brother-in-law, at the direction of the family head to recruit some immortal seedlings to take back. Lu Miaochuan replied respectfully. I see, I too just happened to bring a few kids over for the assessment, said Lu Chongxing. He was aware of the current situation at Qingzhou Mountain. The older generation was either deceased or aged. Today, the family was in dire need of senior cultivators skilled in energy refinement late stage. Now that the family situation had improved, there was naturally a need to supplement with new blood. Upon reflection, he thought that he could also recruit some immortal seedlings. Most of these young men and women were immortal seedlings found by the secular branches of the Qingyun sect, many of whom had not yet embarked on the path of cultivation. If signed to serve as apprentices, the cost-performance ratio was indeed good. Moreover, these young men and women were of suitable age for marriage. In due time, if things went well with his own children, a few good matches could be made. After pondering for a moment, Lu Chongxing infused mana into his voice and said, Young friends, I of the Blue Lake Mountain Lu family am recruiting apprentices and menials. We not only provide access to spiritual vein dojos and cultivation manuals but also offer wages and 5 guarantees. Hiss, Blue Lake Mountain Lu family. Could this senior be the mountain master of Blue Lake Mountain, Lu Chongxing? I Zhao Yanzhu of White Tiger Mountain. Pay my respects to Elder Lu. Greetings, Master Lu. Greetings, Senior Lu. As soon as Lu Chongxing spoke, many loose cultivators and several major family forces recognized him. Immediately, many of them paid their respects to Lu Chongxing. Currently, in the Qingyun region, Lu Changsheng's reputation within the surroundings of Blue Lake Mountain was significant. Second-rank talisman master. A single individual slaying 3 foundation establishment powers. The Lu family suppressing the Xiahou money. Each of these events had made Lu Changsheng's name known to many families, loose cultivators, and powers. They had not expected such an illustrious figure to personally visit the Qingyun sect today and recruit apprentices on this spot. Blue Lake Mountain Master Lu Chongxing, I've heard his story. Once eliminated by the Qingyun sect, he chose to become a son-in-law in a cultivator family. Now he became a foundation establishment great cultivator and established Blue Lake Mountain. Although Blue Lake Mountain was recently established, its master, Lu Chongxing, being a foundation establishment great cultivator, managed to slay 3 great cultivators when he founded the mountain. In his prime with an array master at home. This Senior Lu seems to be a good person at first glance. Yes, this Senior Lu really does look like an immortal. I wonder if this Senior Lu would take maids or maidservants. To start from humble beginnings is not a shame. True manhood lies in the ability to bend and stretch. Elder Lu will be my goal from now on. If I were to join the Blue Lake Mountain Lu family, perhaps I could rise like Elder Lu did. Chapter 682. 25-Year Retrospective. Excuse me, Senior Lu. May I ask, what is the difference between the menial workers and apprentices that your family is recruiting? Many immortal seedlings were discussing animatedly, and someone raised the question. Having been eliminated by the Qingyun sect, their prospects for cultivation were extremely challenging. Most could only become loose cultivators or serve as domestic servants to certain family powers to acquire cultivation techniques and train in the cultivating arts. Now, at Blue Lake Mountain, Lu Changsheng's reputation suddenly made many people excited. Even though many had not heard of the name Lu Changsheng of Blue Lake Mountain before. But seeing so many people bowing respectfully to Lu Changsheng at the event, they knew that Blue Lake Mountain was not ordinary. Regarding menial workers and apprentices, the first 3 years are the cultivation phase, during which my Blue Lake Mountain will provide you with cultivation techniques and distribute a certain amount of spirit rice and 2 spirit stones every month. If during these 3 years, you show talent in talisman making, alchemy, artifact refining, wine brewing, puppetry, beast taming, spirit plant cultivation, spirit slaughterer or other skills, you may become an apprentice of the Lu family and enjoy superior treatment. The specific benefits will be determined based on your performance. If you do not have a talent for any skills, you can only become a menial worker, following the Lu family's arrangements, working for Blue Lake Mountain for 10 years to repay the cultivation costs of the first 3 years. As for the 5 major protections I mentioned, they are condolence, medical care, childbirth, housing, and elder care. If you are injured or have an accident while studying or working at Blue Lake Mountain, the Lu family will provide a certain amount of condolence money. The same goes for illness. As long as it's at Blue Lake Mountain, the Lu family will offer free treatment. If you work at Blue Lake Mountain for 20 years, you can settle there and enjoy childbirth subsidies and elder care, Lu Changxing stated. Senior Lu, this humble one wishes to sign up. I too want to sign up. Son, hurry and sign up. Even if you end up as a menial worker, you can at least cultivate. Upon hearing this, the scene buzzed with excitement, many people expressing their desire to sign up. It was not that the conditions Lu Changxing offered were especially appealing. It was merely that Lu Changsheng's appearance and demeanor instilled an instinctive trust and affinity in people. Moreover, the name of Blue Lake Mountain sounded much better than the offer from several other family powers a while ago. So many people? Lu Changxing was slightly astonished to see so many people wanting to sign up. He had only had a sudden inspiration and thought to recruit some people to take back with him. He didn't expect it to be so popular. Brother Lu, leave this matter to me. Seeing this, Hong Yi beside him immediately took out a small wooden table from his storage bag and had everyone line up. He then registered and inquired about each person's spiritual root, family, and age. When recruiting apprentices, those from wealthy families with good conditions were naturally excluded first. However, Hong Yi seemed to guess what Lu Changxing was thinking, and relaxed the conditions slightly for good-looking young girls. An hour and a half later, with Hong Yi's help, Lu Changxing selected 30 immortal seedlings, 15 young men and 15 young women. Because there were many applicants, these 30 had relatively good conditions. Among them was a young man with a 6th grade spiritual root. Lu Changxing thought to himself that if these people were indeed worthy of being cultivated after taking them back, he could make the trip every 5 years. My Blue Lake Mountain is currently only recruiting 30 people. If you are interested, you can go to the Lu family of Qingzhou Mountain. Looking at the young men and women in front of him who looked disappointed, Lu Changxing spoke out. He was also using his own reputation to advertise for Qingzhou Mountain. Thank you, brother-in-law. Upon hearing this, Lu Miaochuan quickly made a bowing gesture to Lu Changxing. Brother Hong, I will need your help for this trip. Lu Changxing addressed Hong Yi as he looked at the group of young men and women. In his storage bag, he had 3 spirit boats, but one person couldn't pilot multiple boats. Still, 2 spirit boats weren't enough to carry so many people. Lu Changxing assessed the situation around him and asked a loose cultivator in the energy refinement late stage to pilot a spirit boat for him. He then took the 30 young men and women away on the spirit boats. Riding horses? Shouldn't we be boarding spirit boats? Shortly afterward, other families who had also recruited people released spirit steeds, preparing to take the immortal seedlings back with them. Seeing that Lu Changxing had just left by piloting a spirit boat while they were to ride horses, the immortal seedlings of this family felt a sudden shock as if experiencing a letdown. Ahem, these are not ordinary horses. These are spirit steeds of the cultivation world, capable of traveling thousands of miles in a day, the head of this family explained. They were helpless, After all, piloting a spirit boat required an individual at the energy refinement late stage. Moreover, it was not feasible for their family to deploy multiple spirit boats all at once. Though the immortal seedlings were reluctant, they had no choice but to accept the situation, feeling envious of those who had joined Blue Lake Mountain. 8 days later, 3 spirit boats descended outside of Blue Lake Mountain. Father! Lu Yun, who was on duty at the mountain gate, immediately shouted upon seeing his father returning. Lu Chongqing nodded, handing out a middle-grade spirit stone to the loose cultivator who had helped. Thank you for your trouble, friend. Senior Lu, you're too kind, too kind. The loose cultivator replied with a beaming smile as he accepted the spirit stone. This is the Blue Lake Mountain Lu family. Lu Chongqing then led the 30 young men and women through the mountain gate, speaking out loud. He then sent a message to Xiao Qing, explaining the situation of these people, and instructed her to arrange all the young men and women at Lake Heart Villa. In the blink of an eye, half a month passed. The recruitment of 30 immortal seedlings had no significant impact or change on the Lu family. After all, the monthly expenses of 30 immortal seedlings did not exceed 100 spirit stones. Chapter 683. Looking back after 25 years on Heart 4, this day marked the annual family clan meeting of the Lu family. This year, the Lu family was still in a state of loss. However, compared to the previous year, the situation had relatively improved a lot. Faced with this situation, Lu Chongqing didn't say much. He simply stated that they should keep up the effort, and if there were any children in the family who had ideas about marriage, taking a wife or concubinage, they could bring it up actively and let the clan arrange it. After all, on by Lake Mountain's side, only his son Lu Xianji was married, which truly worried him as an elderly father. Chongqing, the internal organ issues of your uncle have improved quite a lot under my treatment with Tai True Water. If you have some free time, you could try to help your great-uncle remove the corpse poison. After the family clan meeting concluded, Lu Miaoge said softly to Lu Chongqing. Previously, Lu Chongqing had said that once she had managed Lu Yuanzhong's internal organ issues more or less, he could attempt to use sword qi to drive out the poison. All right, I'll go with you in a few days. Upon hearing this, Lu Chongqing held Lu Miaoge's hand and spoke warmly. The 3 of them returned to Chongqing Hall, where Lu Miaoge typically used Tai True Water to nourish and heal Ling Zixio's meridians and Dantian. Looking at the beautiful and gentle Lu Miaoge in front of him, Lu Chongqing felt he needed to refine the foundation establishment elixir as soon as possible. Over 2 years had passed, with Lu Miaoge constantly running back and forth between Qingzhou Mountain and Bai Lake Mountain. Normally, she would also need to oversee the Red Leaf Valley Market, which kept her extraordinarily busy. Now that he had gathered almost all the auxiliary materials for the foundation establishment elixir, only 2 more medicinal ingredients were left. Thinking of refining the foundation establishment elixir as soon as possible and giving one to the Lu family of Qingzhou Mountain, just as long as there was someone from Qingzhou Mountain who made a breakthrough and a new foundation-building great cultivator was born, Lu Miaoge wouldn't have to be so busy, and she could cultivate peacefully on by Lake Mountain. With the effect of the Tai Dao seed, Lu Miaoge's cultivation speed was not at all inferior to those with high-grade spiritual roots. Yet because she was busy and constantly healing Lu Yuanzhong and Ling Zixiao, her own cultivation had been delayed. 3 days later, after informing Xiao Xie and Ling Zixiao, Lu Chongqing went with Lu Miaoge to Qingzhou Mountain to help Lu Yuanzhong eliminate the corpse poison. Considering that Lu Miaoyun and Lu Miaohuan had also not returned for quite a long time, he took both women with him, as well as his son Lu Yun, Lu Qingsong, and others to go together. Chongqing, Miaoge, you've come. Learning of Lu Changsheng's arrival, people like Lu Yuanzhong and Lu Yuanding came out to welcome them. Father-in-law, uncle. Lu Chongqing greeted the newcomers cheerfully. After a simple catch-up, Lu Chongqing checked Lu Yuanzhong's condition. Under Lu Miaoge's application of Tai True Water, Lu Yuanzhong's organs, which had been corrupted by the corpse poison, regained vitality. But the issue of the corpse poison in the organs still hadn't been resolved, clinging to the organs like a persistent illness. Ancestor, although I am somewhat confident in driving out the poison, now that the corpse poison has integrated with your organs, it might be hard to completely eradicate it. If the detox goes too deep, it could also harm your organs, Lu Chongqing said after pondering for a moment. Chongqing, just do as you see fit, Lu Yuanzhong said. With the strength and methods Lu Chongqing had shown and the changes in Lu Miaoge, he had utmost faith in Lu Chongqing. All right, Lu Chongqing nodded, asking Lu Yuanzhong to lie down. He placed his palm on the man's chest and began to drive out the corpse poison with the 7 luminary sword qi. Such a domineering and fierce sword qi. Lu Yuanzhong's expression shifted slightly, revealing a look of shock in his eyes. Through the 7 luminary sword qi, he instantly felt that Lu Changsheng's mana was overwhelmingly powerful and domineering, even more so than Lu Maiage's mana. He marveled internally at what cultivation technique Lu Chongqing practiced to possess such tyrannical mana and sword qi. Had it not been for this treatment, he truly wouldn't have known the extent of Lu Changsheng's combat power, thinking that Lu Changsheng's true skills lay in talismans. Now, it seemed, Lu Chongqing hadn't fully wielded his power against the 3 foundation establishment cultivators from the Yu family back then. Sister Miaoga used Tai True Water to protect Uncle's meridians. Lu Chongqing carefully removed some of the residual corpse poison from Lu Yuanzhong's organs with the 7 luminary sword qi, but the corpse poison had lingered for years, like a disease in the bone, quite troublesome to handle. If the sword qi was too fierce, it could easily harm Lu Yuanzhong. All right. Upon hearing this, Lu Miaoga immediately circulated her mana, her palms radiating blue halos, enveloping Lu Yuanzhong's organs with condensed Tai True Water. In this manner, the two of them worked together to drive the poison out of Lu Yuanzhong. Yet Lu Yuanzhong's condition was indeed troublesome. Even Lu Chongqing dared only to remove some surface remnants of the corpse poison, unable to thoroughly cleanse the deep-seated poison. Uncle, you should focus on recuperating for a few days. When the situation improves a bit more, I will try to drive the poison out further. An hour later, Lu Chongqing withdrew his hand, exhaling deeply, and spoke to Lu Yuanzhong. His 7 luminary sword qi detox, while effective, was somewhat akin to a painful remedy, with a risk of damaging the organs. Chongqing, Miaoga, thank you for your hard work, Lu Yuanzhong said solemnly. After the battle at Blackwater Pool, he thought his life wouldn't last much longer. But now, the Lu family not only gained Lu Miaoga, a foundation establishment great cultivator, but together, they were also able to address his corpse poison. In his view, even if they could not fully eradicate it, living a few more decades was worth it. Uncle, you're being too polite, Lu Chongqing said with a smile. He and Lu Miaoga decided to stay at Qingzhou Mountain temporarily, doing their best to address Lu Yuanzhong's condition. Chapter 684. Can weaken the heavenly tribulation, teaching the 100 refinements treasure body technique. _15 Poisons Cult. Tianzhu Peak. In a magnificent and resplendent grand hall decorated with exquisite carvings and poison goo figures. The flawless heavenly fragrance body naturally has all 100 meridians clear, with no bottlenecks before foundation establishment, promising a long and fortunate life, with some resistance to various toxins and poisons. The body exudes a fragrance that makes one feel closer to it, and after breaking through to core formation, one is subtly favored by the heavens and the earth, which can slightly reduce the power of the nascent soul heavenly tribulation. Nangong merely held a jade scroll, reading the contents with a delighted smile spreading across her stunningly enticing face. Ever since the birth of her daughter, Nangong Yao Yao, her mood had greatly improved. Observing her daughter's natural fragrance, she realized that her daughter possessed a certain rare spiritual body. After collecting various pieces of information regarding spiritual bodies and Taoist bodies, she finally identified the special constitution of her daughter, Nangong Yao Yao. The flawless heavenly fragrance body. My Yao Yao will be qualified for nascent soul in the future. Nangong merely glanced towards the bed of black jade beside her, where her daughter, Nangong Yao Yao, lay in the 5-colored jade cauldron, her body translucent and tender, seemingly asleep, her long, phoenix-like eyes brimming with motherly radiance. As a nascent soul cultivator, she knew all too well the difficulties of advancing to nascent soul. Not to mention the numerous hurdles and bottlenecks that countless core formation cultivators could not overcome in their entire lives between the 2 major realms. Even the 2 major tribulations faced when breaking through to nascent soul, the heart demon tribulation and the nascent soul heavenly tribulation, made many nascent soul immortals pause in trepidation and turn pale at the mention. After all, when impacting foundation establishment, as long as one has a foundation establishment elixir, even if one fails, it results merely in injuries. When attempting core formation, with thorough preparations, even if one fails, life can still be preserved, or at least a false core can be condensed. But when impacting nascent soul, if one is not careful under the heart demon tribulation and the heavenly tribulation, one risks total annihilation and turning to ashes. So any core formation cultivator who hears of a method that could increase their chances of surviving the heart demon and nascent soul heavenly tribulations will spare no effort in searching and trying it out. This is especially true for demon cultivators, for whom the heart demon tribulation and nascent soul heavenly tribulation become even more potent when breaking through to nascent soul. Therefore, this seemingly minor effect is seen as incredibly precious in the eyes of Nangong Meili. After all, her daughter has a top-level spiritual body. Her spiritual root is bound to be exceptional. With such talent, she was confident she could nurture her daughter step by step to core formation. After achieving core formation, the remaining journey would depend on her daughter's own efforts. And after core formation, the flawless heavenly fragrance Bodhi's subtle favor from the heavens and earth, which slightly weakens the nascent soul heavenly tribulation, becomes extremely important. At that moment, the baby inside the 5-colored jade cauldron began to open her big eyes, slightly dazed. Upon seeing Nangong Meili, she immediately called out in a milky voice, "Mommy!" Her voice was youthful and her pronunciation unclear. She stretched out a pair of pudgy little hands and called out to Nangong Meili, "Mommy, hug!" Yao Yao. Nangong Meili immediately picked up her daughter with a face full of doting love. Though only a year old, the child's body, different from ordinary infants, was climbing over Nangong Meili's body like a monkey, very mischievous. "Master!" While the mother and daughter were having fun, a voice came from outside the grand hall. "What's the matter?" Nangong Meili asked. "The sect hierarch asks that you visit her once you come out of seclusion." Meng Xiaochan spoke with these words. The sect hierarch. Nangong Meili's phoenix eyes narrowed slightly, then she walked out of the grand hall, holding Yao Yao in her arms. "Xiaochan, help me look after Yao Yao." Nangong Meili didn't hide the news about her daughter Nangong Yao Yao. But to outsiders, she claimed she was a daughter she had found and adopted. "Come on, Yao Yao, let sister give you a hug." Meng Xiaochan was dressed in a lavender gown, her appearance delicate. Because of her cultivation of the myriad poisons devouring heart technique, her originally ethereal aura had gained a touch of dreamlike, enchanting haziness. "Sister!" The little girl wasn't shy at all. After embracing Meng Xiaochan, she smacked her lips, bit Meng Xiaocan's flawless cheek leaving behind some drool, and then giggled. "You mischievous little thing." Watching this, Nangong Meili's stunning face showed not a hint of seductiveness, only indulgence. She then gave Meng Xiaochan a few more instructions before transforming into a rainbow of light and departing. "Fragrant." Nangong Yao Yao, lying in Meng Xiaocan's arms, smacked her lips twice more, her voice muffled as she mumbled. "Yao Yao is also fragrant." Meng Xiaochan replied with a doting smile, kissing the little girl's sweet and tender cheek twice. She could clearly smell the fragrant scent emanating from Nangong Yao Yao's body. This lovely aroma reminded her of Lu Chongqing every time she smelled it, for when she was near him, he exuded a spring-like fragrance that drew people in and made them feel comfortable and close. The scent of Nangong Yao Yao now gave her the same feeling. "Lu Lang must know that Master is pregnant with Yao Yao." Meng Xiaochan gazed at the little treasure cradled in her arms and drifted into thought. Even though Nangong Meili said Yao Yao was a daughter she had picked up and adopted, Meng Xiaochan, being Nangong Meili's disciple, guessed upon seeing the baby that she was her master and Lu Changsheng's child. After all, those eyebrows, eyes, nose and mouth were strikingly similar to her master's, and she could clearly see Lu Changsheng's shadow in them. Besides, seeing this child resolved many doubts that she had held in her heart before. The change in Lu Changsheng's attitude towards her master, the words he said when they parted, telling her to take good care of her master, and the change in her master's demeanor when taking her across the border. However, Meng Xiaochan still felt a bit conflicted about the child. On one hand, her master had a child with her lover, and on the other, her master clearly knew about the Lockhart goo. Chapter 685. Can weaken the heavenly tribulation, teaching the 100 refinements treasure body technique. She was worried that after giving birth to Nangong Yao Yao, the master might be affected by the Lockhart goo. After all, with her understanding of the master's character, upon learning about the Lockhart goo, she probably felt a strong aversion to Lu Chongqing. Once the Lockhart goo was removed, she might go and cause trouble for Lu Chongqing. At that time, Nangong Meili's attitude towards the child Nangong Yao Yao might also change. Qingzhou Mountain. Inside a cave abode, Lu Chongsheng and Lu Miaoge were removing the corpse poison from Lu Yuanzhong. "Sister Miaoge, that's enough." Lu Chongqing said to Lu Miaoge, whose forehead was covered with a layer of fine sweat. He then retracted his hand and turned to Lu Yuanzhong. Uncle, I have now removed the corpse poison that entangled your viscera. The remainder, which has infiltrated deeply, I cannot remove. After half a month of detoxification, he had removed most of the corpse poison from Lu Yuanzhong. Some of the remaining poison had entered deeply into the viscera over the years and could not be fully removed. To have come this far, I am already very content. Chongqing, Miaoge, you have worked hard. Lu Yuanzhong sat up and thanked Lu Chongqing and Lu Miaoge. As the corpse poison was mostly eliminated, he felt a weight lifted off his body. Although he was not as strong as at his peak, living another 100 years without exerting himself shouldn't be difficult. The only problem was the likelihood of his cultivation level breaking through to the middle stage of foundation establishment, which seemed hopeless. Due to the problem with his viscera, it was akin to having damaged the foundation. Uncle, you are too polite, Lu Chongqing said. He then took out 2 jade slips from his storage bag. Uncle, I heard that there are only a few advanced level cultivation techniques in the family. I had some fortuitous encounters before and obtained 2 exquisite level cultivation methods, which you can take. Lu Chongqing took out Purple True Solar Scripture and Greenwood Flame Solar Method, 2 exquisite level cultivation methods, and handed them to Lu Yuanzhong. Over the past 2 years, he had taught the children in his family these 2 cultivation techniques, as well as the 7 luminaries that he had broken down. Thinking about the few cultivation techniques the Lu family had at its foundation, which were only advanced level, Lu Chongqing thought about sharing these 2 as well. Not to mention the close relationship with Lu Miaoge, Lu Miaohuan, and Lu Miaoyun. In these 2 years, Qingzhou Mountain had been helping his own family with both manpower and effort, so he was willing to provide support. Exquisite level cultivation methods. Lu Yuanzhong showed a look of surprise when he heard this. Although he knew that Lu Chongqing had great opportunities that included an extraordinary inheritance, he didn't expect Lu Chongqing to casually offer him 2 exquisite level cultivation methods. One must know that the inheritance of cultivation techniques in the cultivation world is incredibly rare, with few willing to divulge them to outsiders. Otherwise, Qingzhou Mountain wouldn't have had only 4 high-grade cultivation techniques after centuries of legacy. Chongqing, this really isn't right. Lu Yuanzhong, while greedy, was somewhat embarrassed to accept them. After all, these 2 cultivation methods were valuable enough to serve as Qingzhou Mountain's treasured family techniques. Uncle, we are all family, there's no need to be polite. Lu Chongqing glanced at Lu Miaoge and said with a light smile. Uncle, this is Changsheng's heartfelt gift. Please accept it. Moreover, these cultivation techniques are meant to be practiced by our own family members. Lu Miaoge whispered softly, her lips slightly pursed. Since this is the case, I will accept them. Rest assured, Chongqing, our Lu family will definitely not reveal these techniques carelessly. Lu Yuanzhong took a deep breath and nodded emphatically. I am naturally at ease about that. Lu Chongqing laughed and said a few more words before leaving the cave abode with Lu Miaoge. Old ancestor, you were right. Lu Chongqing is a young man blessed with tremendous fortune. After Lu Chongqing and Lu Miaoge had left, Lu Yuanzhong, holding the 2 technique jade slips, became lost in thought and murmured to himself. He remembered the instructions of his own ancestor before passing away, stating that Lu Chongqing was a person of great fortune and noble character, and that it would be beneficial for his family to treat him well, as he might be able to help them in the future. In his view, Lu Chongqing's achievements now far exceeded what his own ancestor had anticipated. Even if his ancestor were alive, he could not have imagined that in a mere decade or so, Lu Chongqing would break through to foundation establishment and establish his own family, and that he could casually give away 2 exquisite level cultivation methods to his family. However, the closer the 2 families are, the more careful we must be. We must make clear distinctions in certain matters. Only then can the 2 families avoid misunderstandings. Otherwise, Lu Chongqing may be easygoing and generous, but others in the family may not be the same. Lu Yuanzhong pondered deeply, with Ling Zixio's figure coming to mind. Ling Zixiao had left a profound impression on him. He knew that although she seemed delicate, in reality, she was a woman of strong and domineering character. Lu Chongqing might be casual and considerate of the relationship between the 2 families, but she might not be. Moreover, Lu Chongqing was no longer just an individual but represented a family. Chongqing, thank you. Walking through Qingzhou Valley, Lu Miaoge held Lu Changsheng's palm and spoke softly. Although she knew that Lu Changsheng had access to many cultivation techniques, she had never inquired about them. Because she understood how rare and valuable cultivation techniques were. Recklessly sharing them could not only bring trouble but also allow others to target them through their techniques. Hee, we are all one family after all. Lu Changsheng held his wife's hand and said. The reason he gave away these 2 cultivation techniques was that they were donated by kind people. Techniques like the 7 luminaries would definitely not be shared outside of his own family at the current time. Now that Lu Yuanzheng's issue was mostly resolved, Lu Changsheng was ready to take his wife and children back to Bai Lake Mountain. As for Lu Miaoge, since the Red Leaf Valley market required someone to be in charge, she couldn't return with them. Before one knew it, more than a month had passed. During this time, Lu Changsheng's son, Lu Yun, took a concubine under the arrangements of Lu Miaoyun. Chapter 686. Can weaken the heavenly tribulation, teaching the 100 refinements treasure body technique. She was one of the 15 girls brought back by Lu Changsheng. The reason for taking concubines was partly because Lu Yun was already 20 years old. On the other hand, it was also an encouragement and reward by Lu Changsheng for family members to marry and take concubines to procreate. As the legitimate heir of the family and the eldest son of the principal wife Lu Miaoyun, Lu Yun naturally had to set an example. However, Lu Miaoyun also wanted to find a good daughter-in-law for her son. At the very least, to marry into another family, so it was just taking concubines. Regarding such matters, as long as it was mutually consensual, Lu Changsheng naturally wouldn't say much, and he supported the decision. That day, Lu Changsheng sensed a slightly stronger mana entering his body. He knew one of his children had broken through to the 4th level of qi refinement. In the afternoon, he received the news that it was his eldest son, Lu Pingon, who had made the breakthrough. Not bad. Lu Changsheng looked at his son and spoke. Calculating the time, it took Lu Pingon a little over 3 years to break through to the 4th level of energy refinement. Although he had an early foundation and the assistance of elixir medicines, this speed was indeed quite impressive. As I said before, once you break through to the 4th level of qi refinement, I would teach you the real body refining techniques. Follow me, Lu Changsheng told Lu Pingon. Yes, father. Upon hearing this, Lu Pingan's face showed joy and expectation as he nodded in agreement. Subsequently, the two came to the family's secret chamber, where Lu Changsheng began to teach Lu Pingon the 100 refinements treasure body art. Although Lu Pingon now had spiritual awareness and could check the jade slip with his mental spirit, Lu Changsheng had not yet engraved these cultivation techniques onto the technique jade slips. He transmitted it orally, with his mana traveling through Pingan's meridians, explaining bit by bit. He communicated the content, key points, and the profound meanings by breaking them down and conveying them to Lu Pingon. Have you memorized everything? An hour later, Lu Changsheng asked his son Lu Pingon. Father, I have memorized it all. Lu Pingon affirmed seriously. After hearing the technique, he realized the power of this cultivation technique, making the human body as hard as a magical treasure. It was terrifying. Even now, as a martial arts grandmaster at the 4th level of qi refinement, he was only facing ordinary weapons. If he were to encounter a magic artifact, it would be difficult to withstand. Good, practice it now for me to see, said Lu Changsheng, asking his son to start cultivating. Yes. Upon hearing this, Lu Pingon began to try circulating the technique. Thus, time passed bit by bit. Lu Pingon struggled to get into the right state. Lu Changsheng was not in a hurry and waited patiently. No matter the cultivation technique, it's very difficult to enter the right state at the beginning. And since the practice of 100 refinements treasure body art was quite dangerous, he did not dare to let Pingon just practice on his own. After about 9 hours, Lu Pingon finally entered the right state. Seeing this, Lu Changsheng smiled with satisfaction, thinking to himself that his son indeed had some talent in body refinement. He observed Lu Pingon with his divine sense, paying attention to the circulation route of his technique, and immediately corrected any slight errors. In this way, after 4 days, Lu Pingon had fully mastered the basics of the technique. Afterward, Lu Changsheng took out a golden essence stone and gave it to Lu Pingon, instructing him to draw out the essence of the material according to the technique in order to nourish his body. Lu Pingon accepted the golden essence stone, took a deep breath, and tried to extract the essence. Under Lu Changsheng's guidance, It took 2 days for Lu Pingon to gradually be able to extract the essence. Although the process was very slow, to Lu Chongqing, it was at least a start. You familiarize yourself with these for now. It'll teach you the follow-up after some time, Lu Chongqing said. Currently, Lu Pingon had only achieved the most basic level of 100 refinements treasure body art. The real challenges were techniques like infusing treasure into the body, Baogu method, merging the life-bound treasured bone, and so on. Back in Chongqing Hall, his own retreat, Lu Chongqing activated the 100 refinements treasure body technique, aiming to extract the black dragon magical bead in his palm. After so many years, this magical treasure was near the point of being discarded. Now that his son Lu Pingon had reached the basic level in 100 refinements treasure body art, he intended to let Pingon try to condense the almost discarded black dragon magical bead into his body. Xie. Lu Chongqing activated the technique, and the imprint of the black dragon magical bead emerged in his left hand, clearly visible. His palm shone with a treasure light, bright and dazzling, the skin writhed, and the black dragon magical bead slowly emerged. This process used to be very slow and painful. But now, at the 6th level of 100 refinements, he could extract the bead in just an hour. Phew! Lu Chongqing exhaled deeply and looked at the black dragon magical bead in his hand. Now the magical treasure was not only dim but the miniature flood dragon inside had dissipated, leaving only a wisp of gray mist. What once was a middle-grade magical treasure, now looked nothing like it. It was almost unrecognizable. Being able to sustain until it's passed down will also become a legacy, Lu Chongqing said with a light chuckle as he gazed at the black dragon magical bead. Looking at the nearly discarded magical treasure embryo in his right hand, Lu Chongqing thought for a moment and then turned his gaze to the system space. Extract. With a flicker of mental intention, he took out the 100 steeds towering pagoda lock from the system space. Immediately, a black chain as thick as an arm emerged, strung with faintly visible fiery horses. There were 100 of these steeds, each radiating a dense aura of een and resentment, causing a chilly breeze in the retreat, permeating it with a cold, eerie atmosphere. As expected of a demonic path magical treasure, it appears quite sinister, Lu Chongqing remarked. Integrating such a treasure into my body won't cause me any negative effects, will it? He pondered as he looked at the 100 steeds towering pagoda lock and stroked his beard. Now that the 9 treasure jade rui had been cultivated into his life-bound treasured bone, and the black dragon magical bead was extracted, with a magical treasure embryo almost discarded, he naturally needed to continue the practice of integrating a magical treasure into his body to aid in cultivation. While it would have been more cost-effective to let Lu Pingon integrate the magical treasure into his body, Lu Pingon was still far from mastering the 100 refinements treasure body art. Quickly, Lu Chongqing began to consecrate the 100 steeds towering pagoda lock in front of him with his mental spirit and mana, testing the effects of integrating the magical treasure into his son's body. Chapter 687. The Six-Winged Golden Silkworm Advances. Whatever father likes. The myriad beasts' mountain range was vast and boundless, extending as far as the eye could see. In the depths of the mountains, territories were divided and occupied by one demon king after another. There was an inscrutable malevolent water pool among them. Called a pool, it actually resembled a bottomless abyss more, shrouded in darkness, with depths unfathomable. At some point, a two-headed serpent had emerged in the malevolent water pool. Since then, the pool had come to be known as the Poison Dragon Pool. At this very moment, Lord Poison Dragon, a middle-aged man in a black brocade robe, stood before the unfathomable depths of the Poison Dragon Pool and took out a greenish-blue water orb, bowing respectfully as he spoke. Splash! The abyssal waters churned and splashed, and 2 hideous heads, each several meters long, emerged from the surface. Its massive body was covered in dark green scales. Half submerged in the water, it radiated a terrifyingly oppressive aura. 2 lantern-sized green eyes stared at the man in the black robe, and a grating hoarse voice said, "Human, you did well. This is your reward." As it spoke, a gigantic corpse over 5 meters tall was thrown out. It was the body of a humanoid, its muscles twisted like those of a dragon. However, the creature had the head of a bull with pitch-black horns on its head, and its legs resembled those of a bull, emanating a thick aura. The Kangmang Bull. Xiahou Wuo's eyes gleamed with a crimson light when he saw the corpse, showing a hint of surprise and delight. He quickly bowed deeply to the 2-headed serpent and said, "Thank you, my lord, for this gracious gift. Human, as long as you continue to do well, this king will not skimp on your rewards. The two-headed serpent's eyes flickered with a dim green light as it spoke in its grating hoarse voice, which was as unsettling as metal clashing. Yes, my lord, just give your orders. Xiahou Wuwa said so. The next step, this king will notify you. The two-headed serpent spoke. Afterward, its enormous body sank back into the water. With the corpse of the third-rank Kangmang bull demon, I can craft the dark demon corpse. Qing insect, there will come a day when I will make you pay for your debts in blood. Xiahou Wuwa looked at the corpse before him, his eyes brimming with hatred. By Lake Mountain. Puppet Workshop. Father, this war puppet number 1 has been modified according to your requirements. The arms are engraved with mighty glyphs, capable of exerting up to 3,000 Jin of force, the legs have speed and gravity glyphs for stability while ensuring speed, and the internal spiritual power converges to support 3 major talisman formations. It can be equipped with blades, spears, bows and arrows, or shields as you mentioned, with just simple tweaks required, and customers can also purchase accessories to install or remove themselves. Lu Xianji looked at the humanoid metal puppet before him as he reported to Lu Chongqing. Half a year earlier, after mastering the basics of flying eagle, beast, and humanoid puppets, Lu Chongqing had him start creating 3 new types of puppets. War puppet number 1, beast puppet number 1, flying bird number 1. These were the 3 puppets that Lu Chongqing planned to introduce to the marketplace. However, these 3 types of puppets were all middle grade first grade, and with a certain technical content, mass production was no small challenge. During this period, Lu Chongqing also made several optimizations and adjustments based on practical situations. Especially war puppet number 1. This puppet was designed for both offense and defense, suitable for close combat and long-range attacks, making its production quite complex. Much time was consumed just to achieve mass production. Let me see. Lu Chongqing inspected the puppet before him, then opened the heart-protecting mirror to check the internal inscriptions. The inscriptions, clearly crafted by the hands of golden-armored bean soldiers, were impeccable. Subsequently, he used the relevant puppet control technique to manage the puppet's spiritual joints, testing its commands. Advancing, retreating, leaping, flipping. After a brief demonstration, Lu Chongqing had the metal puppet punch him, and then struck the puppet with a punch of his own. The puppet staggered backward, its chest indented with a punch imprint. However, after stabilizing, it was still capable of movement. Following a series of tests, the metal puppet was dented and banged up, a pitiable sight, but Lu Changsheng's face showed a satisfied smile. He turned to Lu Xianji and nodded, if we can mass-produce war puppet number 1 now, how long will it take to produce a unit, and what is the profit margin? Father, the workshop is currently divided into 3 production lines. If we produce war puppets at full capacity, we can make 1 every 10 days. Considering the cost of materials, labor and overhead, it comes to roughly 180 spirit stones. In the current market, the price of middle-grade puppets range from 240 to 300 spirit stones. If our family wants to make a market impact, initially we can only offer low prices. Besides, if you intend to supply externally instead of managing the business ourselves, our prices can probably only reach 200 spirit stones, Lu Xianji reported respectfully. Such low profit margins, this hardly compares to a sweatshop. Lu Chongqing frowned slightly upon hearing this. He had always known that puppet production was akin to a sweatshop, operating on tight profit margins, but these profits seemed too low in his view. Considering the time he spent instructing Lu Xianji and others daily in the workshop, not mentioning the profits he would have made from alchemy and talisman making. Father, as we increase the workforce and gain proficiency, this cost can continue to decrease. Moreover, regarding material procurement, we primarily use Xuanwu steel. If we start mass production and make bulk purchases, we can reduce the price by 10 to 30%. Plus, once our family's puppets gain a reputation and sales increase, we can raise the prices. However, I think that since we have shops, we could start with opening one in Red Leaf Valley Market to build our reputation and customer base. Chapter 688. The Six-Winged Golden Silkworm Advances. Father may do as he pleases. Lu Xianji saw his own father in deep thought and roughly understood his father's ideas, breaking the silence and saying, in his view, a profit of 20 spirit stones for a puppet was already quite satisfactory. Currently, the workshop's 3 production lines could produce about 8 to 10 puppets a month. That amounted to about 1 to 200 spirit stones, and over a year, that would be more than 2,000 spirit stones. Moreover, this income could gradually increase. All right, let's proceed with your idea in this matter, Lu Chongqing said with a light chuckle upon hearing this. He also understood that these matters should not be measured by his own standards of consumption. An annual yield of 2,000 spirit stones was already very decent for a foundation establishment family, especially since the puppet workshop was still in its initial stages. Once the reputation and credibility were established, the income would naturally increase. He patted his son on the shoulder and said, "If you have any problems, go discuss them with your aunts, Pingon and Chuanjin. As for opening a puppet store in the Red Leaf Marketplace, that's fine too. You can choose 2 knowledgeable apprentices to manage it," Lu Chongqing said as such. After finishing his words, he added, "Right, Xianji, remember to brand all the puppets with the name Blue Lake Mountain Lu family. Puppets are inherently replicable." These 3 puppets were designed based on the current market for puppets in the cultivation world. If puppet masters from other families see that our puppets are good, they might replicate and produce them. Therefore, it was time to consider the effect of branding. Just like the red blood carp from Blue Lake Mountain, the paper talismans from Qingzhou Mountain, the centipede wine from Wugong Ridge, and the spiritual birds from Hundred Birds Lake, they all had a certain level of reputation. "Yes, father." Upon hearing these words, Lu Xianzi's face immediately showed joy, and he responded with a bow. He knew that with his 9th grade spiritual root, his talent was not great and he had no hope of a significant achievement in life, let alone reaching foundation establishment. Therefore, he spent most of his time and effort on puppets, hoping to achieve something in other areas. In the past 2 years, he focused entirely on the workshop, aiming to turn a profit as soon as possible. Now, with Lu Chongqing finally agreeing to mass-produce puppets and enter the market, his excitement was beyond measure. After inspecting the puppet workshop, Lu Chongqing went to check on his family's talisman workshop and wine brewing workshop. There were no changes in the talisman workshop. Earning 200 to 300 spirit stones a year by subcontracting for Qingzhou Mountain, it was merely for amusement. The wine brewing workshop, however, was doing quite well. It could steadily produce white jade wine and spiritual mulberry wine, and was starting to make a profit gradually. After the by-water rice harvest, Lu Chongqing had also spent some time using it as the main ingredient to create a wine called Blue Lake wine. It had the effect of nourishing the body and enhancing water-based cultivation techniques. However, the effects were not satisfactory when mass-produced by the workshop. And since the supply of by-water rice was limited in their family, Lu Chongqing dismissed the idea of mass production. Having spent a lot of time on research, Lu Chongqing used red blood carp as the main ingredient to create blue carp wine, which he was currently ready to put on the market to see how it would fare. Just then, Lu Chongqing felt a restless aura coming from his spiritual pet bag. With a slight sense, joy immediately showed in his eyes. He quickly excused himself to his son, Lu Chuanjin, and his nephew, Hong Xuanji, and turned into a streak of light returning to Chongqing Hall. Arriving at his cave abode, Lu Chongqing opened the spiritual pet bag. A 2-inch-long, thin-winged golden silkworm made its appearance. It was bathed in golden light, emanating a brutal and bloodthirsty aura. Looking at the 6-winged golden silkworm in front of him, he took out 2 gourds from his storage bag. Both were filled with spiritual blood. He took out a white jade bowl and poured out the spiritual blood into it. Then he said to the 6-winged golden silkworm, "Begin." 14 years had passed, and the 6-winged golden silkworm was finally ready to advance from the larval stage to the adolescent stage under his care. From 1st grade to 2nd grade. Although it was still far from maturing and developing a second pair of wings, Lu Chongqing felt it was already quite an achievement. After all, this was the first 2nd grade spiritual pet he was raising by himself. Just like his first pet beast, the 9 netherhound, which was still in the late stages of the 1st grade. Upon hearing Lu Chongqing's words, the 6-winged golden silkworm quickly began devouring the spiritual blood within the white jade bowl. Boom! Simultaneously, a brutal and ferocious aura surged through the body of the 6-winged golden silkworm as it absorbed nature's spiritual energy. However, the ascension of creatures from the demon race typically relies on their physical bodies and bloodlines, which means they do not have a significant need for nature's spiritual energy. Watching the 6-winged golden silkworm swiftly finish off the spiritual blood in the jade bowl, Lu Chongqing wasn't stingy, continuing to pour out the spiritual blood from the gourd to let it feed to its fill. In this way, time slowly passed. An hour later, the aura of the six-winged golden silkworm suddenly surged, its body shining with a splendid golden light. Lu Chongsheng calmly watched as the six-winged golden silkworm continued to devour spiritual blood, so he kept pouring from the gourd. It was fortunate he considered it a hassle and had directly purchased 6 gourds of demon beast blood in the past. Otherwise, he would have been unprepared for the six-winged golden silkworm's sudden promotion. As the aura of the six-winged golden silkworm continued to surge, a golden cocoon gradually formed around it, encasing the creature within. Is it going to molt inside the cocoon? Lu Chongqing looked at the fist-sized blood-tinged golden cocoon before him and raised an eyebrow in curiosity. He didn't disturb the cocoon but made sure there was plenty of spiritual blood nearby, in case the six-winged golden silkworm needed more. Sigh, I was so preoccupied with rescuing Xiao Chan and Nangong Meili that I completely forgot about the six-winged golden silkworm situation. Chapter 689. The six-winged golden silkworm advances. Father may do as he pleases. Lu Chongqing thought of Meng Xiaochan, whom he encountered on his way back from Zhouxiao Immortal City. But at that time, all he remembered was to save people and he forgot to ask about the six-winged golden silkworm. If the other party knew about the six-winged golden silkworm, or through understanding of insect goo they could give him some advice, it might be beneficial to the growth of the six-winged golden silkworm. As he thought of Meng Xiaochan, Lu Chongqing also thought of Nangong Meili, and his daughter Nangong Yaoyao. He didn't know what situation his daughter was in now, nor how her life was. This daughter had grown up in the demon sect since childhood. Would she develop some kind of demonic woman's character? Considering Nangong Meili and Meng Xiaochan, Lu Chongqing thought that this possibility was quite significant. Sigh. Lu Chongqing, thinking about his daughter turning into a demoness like those from the demon sect, felt quite troubled. He glanced at the six-winged golden silkworm and walked out of his cave abode. Through helping Ling Zixiao and Xiao Xia with their cultivation, he dispersed the worries in his heart. 1 month later. Inside Chongqing Hall, his cave abode. Condense. Lu Chongqing activated the 100 Refinements Treasure Body Art, with golden light flowing in his palm. Under the condensation of mana, the 100 Steeds Towering Pagoda Lock began to gradually assimilate with his palm. It took 3 days for the genuine magical treasure to merge into the bones of Lu Changsheng's hand, causing a chain pattern with a shadow of a ghostly horse to appear on the back of his hand. Not bad. The demonic path magical treasure is fairly decent too. It doesn't have too much of an impact. After Lu Chongqing finished condensing the 100 Steeds Towering Pagoda Lock, he moved his palm slightly and gave a slight nod. He knew that the main purpose of the 100 Refinements Treasure Body Art was to extract the origin source of magical treasures, and it wouldn't affect the effectiveness of the treasures. Unless he used the Baogu method to cultivate his treasure bones with the magic treasures. However, now having so many methods at his disposal, Lu Chongqing didn't plan to waste the origin source of the magical treasure to nourish his treasure bones, which was a life-saving method. Glancing at the six-winged golden silkworm still in its cocoon, Lu Chongqing walked out of Chongqing Hall and went to the Lu family mansion. Husband! Chu Zhenjin had just seen Lu Chongqing and immediately called out to him with a look of grievance. Zhenjin, what's wrong? Seeing his petite wife's expression, Lu Chongqing immediately asked with concern. Chu Zhenjin was normally naive and lively, taking nothing to heart, always carefree and cheerful. Suddenly seeing her like this, Lu Chongqing thought something might have happened. Husband, you tell Lu Chuanjin. Chu Zhenjin complained to Lu Chongqing, saying that their son Lu Chuanjin wasn't listening to her at all. She saw that Lu Yun had already taken concubines and Lu Miaoyun was arranging a marriage for their son. Naturally, she started caring about her own son's affairs as well. After all, Lu Chuanjin was a year older than Lu Yun. When she approached Lu Chuanjin about this matter, at first he agreed just fine. But after so much time has passed without any progress, he subsequently rejected all her arrangements and is now avoiding her, which made her feel very wronged. Cough cough, cultivators generally marry quite late, plus Chuanjin is not that old. Upon hearing this, Lu Chongqing said so. He knew his son Lu Quanzhen's personality. Lu Chuanjin had his opinions and goals, took his cultivation very seriously, and completely lacked the idea of marrying. Thus, as a father, he usually wouldn't push for marriage. But getting married doesn't affect cultivation, does it? Miao Yun said whatever Xiao Yun would listen to, but Chuanjin won't listen to me at all now, and is even avoiding me. Chu Zhenjin said, feeling very wronged. Cough cough, don't be upset, I'll talk to Chu Anjin later and ask about his thoughts. Lu Chongqing didn't quite know what to say in that moment. Compared to Lu Chuanjin, his son Lu Yun was somewhat less decisive and listened to Lu Miaoyun's words a lot. This was also the difference between Lu Miaoyun and Chu Zhenjin's personalities. Lu Miaoyun was quite strict with the children on a daily basis. However, even after so many years, Chu Zhenjin still acted a bit like a child who hadn't grown up. Compared to Lu Chuanjin, she seemed more childlike. Furthermore, Lu Chongqing strongly suspected that when Chu Zhenjin said Lu Chuanjin had agreed, it was likely because she nagged him until he could only reluctantly consent. After all, this son, when experiencing the secular world before, always reported the good and not the bad. Fearing that Chu Zhenjin would learn of any minor harm he suffered, he didn't want to be nagged by her endlessly. Chu Zhenjin, hearing this, immediately nodded happily. Although her son was rebellious and disobedient, she still trusted Lu Changsheng's words a lot. Plus she knew, her son always listened to his father's words. Then she also brought up their daughter Lu Yuzhen. This daughter was not young either, and could also consider marriage affairs. Yuzhen is just in Hushan town, let's go see her later, and ask for her own thoughts. Lu Chongqing said kindly. After chatting with his wife Chu Zhenjin for a while, Lu Chongqing also took the opportunity to care about their son Lu Pingan's progress with the 100 Refinements treasure body art. Seeing that his cultivation was still at the introductory stage, Lu Chongqing gave some guidance before telling him to continue cultivating seriously. Thinking of encouraging his son, he took out the black dragon magical bead and handed it to Lu Pingan. He indicated that once the son was proficient with the technique, he could teach him to refine and incorporate the treasure into his body for cultivation. Dad, you are giving me this magical treasure. What about yourself? Don't you need it? Lu Pingan, hearing about refining and integrating the magical treasure into his body, was shocked when Lu Chongqing actually handed a magical treasure to him. Though he was just a qi refinement cultivator, he also understood the significance of a magical treasure. No matter, I can make do with something else. Lu Chongqing, appearing gratified, waved his hand saying so. Thank you, father. Lu Pingan said with a face full of gratitude and a respectful tone. In his heart, he was resolved not to let his father down. In the blink of an eye, 10 days passed. That day, Lu Chongqing received news. At Wugong Ridge, the elder ancestor of the Zhang family had passed away. Chapter 690. The Su family has a daughter, the Dragon Emperor body. _1. The elder ancestor of the Zhang family has passed away in meditation? Lu Chongqing was not surprised by this news. A few years ago, he had already discerned that the elder ancestor of the Zhang family was nearing his end. It was for this very reason that the elder ancestor of the Zhang family had been continuously arranging affairs for the family in these recent years. Whether it was offering a junior as a concubine or relinquishing profits from the Red Leaf Valley marketplace or becoming a vassal to the beast-taming Su family. But it must be said that over these years, the elder ancestor of the Zhang family indeed devoted himself wholeheartedly to the family. Even though the Zhang family currently has no foundation-building great cultivator in residence, no family dares to provoke Wugong Ridge in the short term. Yes, the elder ancestor of the Zhang family passed away peacefully in the family, which in the cultivation world is considered a joyful funeral. For this funeral, the Zhang family will prepare a grand ceremony, and they have indicated in their letter that the beast-taming Su family will also send representatives. Therefore, husband, if you have time, you should personally attend and offer your respects. Lu Miaoyun began, addressing Lu Chongqing. Foundation establishment cultivators have a lifespan of 240 years. But to live to 200 and pass away peacefully in meditation is considered dying a natural death, known as a joyful funeral. Yunar, when is the funeral to be held? Lu Chongqing nodded and asked. Knowing that the Zhang family had invited neighboring families and powers to this funeral, was also the Zhang family's way of borrowing strength from the Su family to show their stance. In 23 days. Lu Miaoyun stated. All right, remind me again when the time comes. Lu Chongqing nodded. He knew that for such matters he, as the family head, must make the trip himself. Putting aside his own family's relationship with the Zhang family, just for the sake of the beast-taming Su family, he should also make the visit. After that, he informed his concubine Zhang Yongwan about the matter, asking her to accompany him when the time came. 20 days later, Lu Chongqing, accompanied by his concubine Zhang Yongwan, arrived at Wugong Ridge. The name Wugong Ridge might not sound too pleasant, but the environment was quite nice, with clear mountains and beautiful waters. It was named Wugong Ridge because it was abundant with spiritual insects. Particularly, a type of spiritual insect known as the iron-line centipede was used by the Zhang family to brew centipede wine, which was a very successful business. The elder ancestor of the Blue Lake Mountain Lu family has arrived. The Zhang family hosts at the mountain gate spotted Lu Chongqing and immediately announced loudly. Subsequently, a Zhang family elder rushed over to invite Lu Chongqing to the Zhang family estate. The place had already been arranged in the style of a mourning hall, where clusters of family juniors dressed in white mourning clothes. Husband, Zhang Yongwan, upon viewing this scene, also showed a touch of sorrow and grief on her face. Although she had not spent much time with the Zhang family ancestor and did not have deep feelings, she was, after all, a legitimate descendant of the Zhang family and had grown up in Wugong Ridge under the protection of this elder ancestor. Grieve not. Lu Chongqing patted her hand and accompanied her to the front of the coffin, twisted 3 incense sticks, and solemnly bowed. Lu ancestor, this way please. There are 2 days left before the funeral. Yongwan, you may show Lu ancestor around the house. The Zhang family elder spoke respectfully, arranging for Lu Chongqing to rest. Normally, as a direct daughter of the family, someone like Zhang Yongwan should have helped out a little. But as she was Lu Chongqing's concubine, her status was established here, so it was impossible to have her do any such thing. An appropriate reception for Lu Chongqing would suffice. As the day of the funeral approached, people began to arrive one after another. 2 days later, Lu Yuanzhong and Bai Yunyang also arrived at Wugong Ridge to attend the funeral. Uncle, Taoist Bai. Lu Chongqing saw the 2 men and greeted them with a cupped fist. Chongqing Lu Taoist. Lu Mountain Lord, long time no see. Lu Yuanzhong and Bai Yunyang greeted Lu Chongqing. Besides the 2, many other family powers arrived, and upon seeing Lu Chongqing, they all greeted him. Soon after, Lu Chongqing and people from these foundation establishment families arranged by the Zhang family took their seats in a large hall to chat casually. Elder ancestor of the Yu Shui Su family has arrived. At that moment, a loud announcing voice came from outside. Soon after, Patriarch Zhang, accompanied by a tall, dignified man with hawk-like eyes dressed in a golden robe, walked into the hall. Following the man in the golden robe were 2 men and a woman. One of the women had a sorrowful countenance, while a man next to her had his arm around her shoulder, comforting her. Elder ancestor Su has been seen. Greetings to Taoist Su. Great-grandfather. Many in the hall stood up and greeted the man in the golden robe with cupped fists. Lu Chongqing had perused the general information on the Yu Shui Su family. He knew that the man in the golden robe was named Su Runguang, one of the foundation establishment ancestors of the Yu Shui Su family. Su pays respects to all Taoist friends here. The golden-robed man showed a cheerful and straightforward smile, cupping his hands and addressing everyone. After elder ancestor Su took his seat, the funeral banquet also began. During the midst of the convivial conversation, Lu Chongqing suddenly felt something and turned his head to look towards a woman sitting next to elder ancestor Su. This woman appeared to be around 20 years old, extremely beautiful. With soft, lustrous, fiery red hair and a beautifully ornate dress of red and gold, her figure was exquisitely curvaceous. Lu Chongqing looked at the woman, clearly not because of her appearance or features. It was her divine sense, comparable to the peak of foundation establishment, that made him acutely aware that this woman had been observing him ever since she entered the hall. As if realizing that Lu Chongqing had noticed her, the red-haired woman drifted her gaze away elegantly, picked up her chopsticks gracefully, and began to chew on a slice of meat slowly and daintily. Seeing this, Lu Chongqing did not pay much mind. After all, it was quite normal for his charm to compel a woman to steal a few extra glances. However, he still noticed that the woman continued to sneak peeks at him. Just then, the red-haired woman whispered something to Su Runguang. The next thing he knew, Su Runguang approached Lu Chongqing with a glass of wine, his face wearing a polite smile, and said, "Master Lu, my granddaughter is preparing to tame a heavenly fire mink and requires the use of a second-rank mystical frost talisman. Chapter 691. The Su family has a daughter, the Dragon Emperor body. I wonder if Master Lu can draw a talisman. If it's possible, I'd like to trouble Master Lu to do so. Su Renguang said politely. Heavenly Fire Mink, Mystical Frost Talisman? Upon hearing this, Lu Chongxing glanced at the redhead woman next to him. He knew that beast tamers subdue pet beasts mostly through various means to make them submit. Methods such as the blood covenant, contract documents, beast control tokens, and the like are all considered inferior. Could it be that she was looking at me earlier because of the talisman? Lu Chongxing pondered to himself. Looking at Su Renguang, he showed a hint of regret and said, Lu Daoist, regarding the mystical frost talisman, I have never drawn it before, and I am not very confident. The mystical frost talisman is a second-rank high-grade spirit talisman, which Lu Chongxing could naturally draw with ease. However, he seldom drew such a spirit talisman, and those booking second-rank talismans from him were already scheduled into next year. Without the other party promising any benefits, they expect me to help draw talismans? I wonder how much confidence Master Lu has. If you can draw it, my Su family will certainly be very grateful. Su Renguang continued to say. This. Upon hearing this, Lu Chongxing glanced at the redhead woman again. He didn't expect that this person could actually make the elder ancestor of the Su family promise a handsome reward. It seemed that this redhead woman's status and identity within the Su family were quite extraordinary. After mulling it over for a moment, he said, Well then, I shall try when I return. If there is any news, I will reply to Lu Daoist within 3 months. How about that? Lu Chongxing said this. In that case, thank you, Lu Daoist. I raise a glass to you, Lu Daoist. Su Renguang lifted his cup and expressed his thanks with a bow. Many people in the Grand Hall saw this scene and revealed a touch of envy in their eyes. They envied the Su family for being able to easily request Lu Chongxing to help draw talismans and envied Lu Chongxing for his identity as a second-rank high-grade talisman master. Lu Daoist is too polite. Lu Chongxing lifted his cup and said. After he had eaten and drunk his fill, Lu Chongxing also learned about the identity of the redhead woman, the granddaughter of the elder ancestor of the Su family, Su Ruyan. Not only did she possess a 4th-grade spiritual root, but she also had an excellent talent for beast taming. Having just broken through to the energy refinement late stage, she tamed an earth-grade bloodline monster beast, the fire python tiger. She could be said to be the current gem in the palm of Yu Shui Su family. Moreover, when Bai Yunyang mentioned this gem of the Su family, he also told an interesting story. After Su Ruyan tamed the fire python tiger, people from the main beast-taming Su family came wanting to take her back to the main family to cultivate. But Su Ruyan's father, Su Renguang's son, had once been crippled by a direct descendant in the family competition, who took away his spiritual pets. Thus Su Ruyan refused to go back to the main family to cultivate. Furthermore, she declared her intention to seek justice for her father in the future. The Su family and others were arranged by the Zhang family in a quiet courtyard. Inside the courtyard's building. Hong Lian Sr. Can you confirm it? Su Ruyan asked inwardly. You are not wrong in your perception. This person indeed has the aura of a heavenly rank bloodline demon beast. Clearly, he has been in contact with heavenly rank demon beasts for a long time. Moreover, this aura is somewhat mixed. This palace suspects he has more than one heavenly rank bloodline demon beast. An ethereal, elegant, and gentle voice, like music from the heavens, rang out in Su Ruyan's mind. More than one? Su Ruyan showed a look of surprise in her beautiful eyes upon hearing this. She was well aware of the preciousness of heavenly grade bloodline spiritual beasts. Not to mention her Yu Shui Su family. Even the main family, beast-taming Su family, would find it extremely difficult to acquire a heavenly grade bloodline spiritual beast. And now, a mere foundation establishment family actually had multiple heavenly rank demon beasts. If I could contract a heavenly rank demon beast, then the beast technique could advance further, evolving into an orthodox level cultivation technique, forming the beastly Dao foundation. Su Ruyan's beautiful eyes shone with hope and desire. Her family was happy and complete when she was young. But when she was 7 years old, and accompanying her father to visit the main beast-taming Su family for the family competition, she saw her own father being defeated by a direct descendant of the family, and even his spiritual pets were taken away. That battle also left her father crippled, dejected, and nearly reduced to a wastrel with no hope of foundation establishment. From that moment on, her heart harbored an additional goal: to seek justice for her father righteously in the family competition. Now, with supreme opportunity within her, she could see the hope of avenging her father. She inquired respectfully, "Senior Hong Lian, do you have any way?" The cultivation technique she practiced was called Beast Technique. This technique was highly esoteric, enabling her to enhance the power of her technique by the grade of contracted spiritual beasts. Moreover, it also allowed her to improve her own talents, foundation, and potential through contracting spiritual beasts. This person is not simple. I perceive a terrifying aura coming from him. He must have great fortune and secrets. The ethereal voice like the music of the heavens continued. Su Ruyan was shocked upon hearing this. She knew the prowess of Senior Hong Lian. This Lu Chongqing actually made Senior Hong Lian feel a terrifying aura. "Senior Hong Lian, I have heard some rumors about this person." Su Ruyan immediately recounted some information about Lu Chongqing. Lower-grade spiritual root, son-in-law living off his wife's family, many wives and concubines, numerous offspring, a master of the talisman path, and such rapid cultivation speed. Could it be the legendary Dragon Emperor body? The ethereal voice conveyed a hint of surprise and curiosity. Dragon Emperor body? Senior Hong Lian, what kind of spiritual body is that? I've never heard of it. Su Ruyan asked. I have also heard of this body. In the central state Great Qian dynasty, there was a saint king who had 108 heavenly consorts and 3,000 beauties in his harem. It is said that this saint king's constitution was known as the Dragon Emperor body. Not only was dual cultivation with men and women harmless to him, but it also allowed his thoughts to become clear, his cultivation to progress swiftly, with no bottlenecks to hinder him, and this constitution was most conducive to having children. His offspring were also more likely to be extraordinarily talented. Chapter 692. The Su family has a daughter, the Dragon Emperor body. The ethereal voice spoke in such a manner. There is actually such a physique in the world. Su Ruyan, upon hearing these words, also showed a look of surprise and doubt. Although she did not know much about spiritual bodies, she had heard and understood common physiques, including the 5-element spiritual body. She had never heard of such a mysterious spiritual body before. After all, most cultivators practice abstinence as part of their cultivation regimen. Only a small number of heretic cultivators or those who practice dual cultivation, by harvesting others' essence, would choose to indulge in desires. But such individuals would eventually have their foundations weakened by excessive dual cultivation and harvesting, and at a certain realm, they would find it difficult to make any progress. This palace has only heard of such matters and is speculating as such. However, if this child is as you say, he must surely be a person with great fortune, said the voice. Such characters have many tricks up their sleeves. If you are trying to get a heaven-ranked demon beast from him, I'm afraid it will be extremely difficult, the ethereal voice said. Su Ruyan heard this and fell silent, her beautiful eyes deep in thought. The Zheng family's funeral lasted for 3 days. During this period, many matters were handled by the elder ancestor of the Su family. This was also a way for the Su family to show their stance to the outside world. The Zheng family was under the protection of the Yushui Su family. Although this Su family was not the beast-taming Su family, it was still strong enough to make many other forces weigh their decisions carefully. Lu Daoist, my granddaughter will be staying at Wugong Ridge for a while, said Su Renguang to Lu Chongsheng politely. If you manage to inscribe the mystical frost talisman, just send someone to inform us at Wugong Ridge, he said. Lu Chongqing, hearing this, glanced at Su Ruyan next to him, who had a delicate face, fiery red long hair, and a graceful figure, and nodded with a smile. Because of Zhang Yongwan, he had attended many ceremonies of the Zheng family's funeral over these 3 days. During that time, he keenly noticed that Su Ruyan looked at him from time to time. This kind of looking was different from the scrutiny in the Great Hall at the beginning. It contained a few indescribable meanings. This made Lu Chongqing feel that there was something off about Su Ruyan. It wasn't because he was so charming that she looked at him from time to time. Although he didn't know what was going on with her, Lu Chongqing became extra cautious and wary of Su Ruyan in his heart. As the funeral of the Zheng family came to an end, Lu Chongqing also took Zhang Yongwan back to Bai Lake Mountain. Just after returning to Bai Lake Mountain, Lu Chongqing received some news. the dragon carp in by Shui Lake had emerged. And it was caught by his daughter, Lu Wangshu. At this, Lu Chongxing looked at the system interface to see that his daughter Lu Wangshu already had 41% fishing talent, leaving him somewhat at a loss for words. He could only hope that his daughter would also have this much interest in the talisman path in the future. Lu Chongxing looked at the dragon carp. It was currently the size of a forearm, with its entire body covered in scales emanating a golden luster, appearing quite extraordinary. Seeing this dragon carp, Lu Chongxing very much wanted to refine it into a blackwater dragon fish Dao soldier. But remembering his promise to his wife and children, that the first dragon carp caught would be cooked at home, he considered that the dragon carp was still too small, enough for perhaps a 3-person family meal at best. So Lu Chongxing decided to keep the dragon carp in the fish farm, planning to raise it for a few years. In the blink of an eye, half a month passed. Congratulations to the host for the birth of a spiritual root descendant. You have earned 1 lottery opportunity. That day, a system notification sounded, accompanied by a faint tremor. This seems to be the 39th, isn't it? 39, and only the first child with a spiritual root? And this spiritual root fluctuation, it should also just be a lower-grade spiritual root. Upon hearing this system prompt, Lu Changsheng's brows furrowed slightly. He felt that the chance for his 3rd generation to have a spiritual root was too low. However, thinking of his own children who were giving birth, none of whom had a spiritual root, his heart felt slightly relieved. Under the circumstances where neither parent had a spiritual root, having a spiritual root in the 39th child was already considered a decent probability. Perhaps it was thanks to the spirit rice that his children ate regularly, constantly nourished by spiritual energy. System, draw a prize. Without overthinking it, Lu Chongxing opened the system to begin the draw. Ding! Congratulations to the host for obtaining a 4th rank elixir medicine, Soul Fusion Resurrection Elixir. The reward has been issued to System Space. The host can check it at any time. An elixir icon emerged from the big wheel, accompanied by a system notification tone. Soul Fusion Resurrection Elixir? When Lu Chongxing saw the prize he drew, his eyebrows raised. This was an elixir he had never heard of before. With a slight stirring of his mental spirit, he looked toward the system space for the effects of this elixir. Elixir, Soul Fusion Resurrection Elixir. Quality, 4th rank. Description: as long as a cultivator's soul has not dissipated, upon taking this elixir, one can regenerate flesh from bones and fuse the soul back to life. 4th rank elixir. When Lu Chongxing saw the grade and effect of this elixir, he couldn't help but inhale sharply. Most of the rewards he had obtained so far were of the 3rd rank. It was only the life-substituting talisman he drew earlier, with good luck, that he had obtained a 4th rank reward. He didn't expect to draw another 4th rank elixir today. And certainly, the effects of this elixir were extraordinary. After a cultivator dies, the soul can still exist for a period of time. Thus, high-rank cultivators, when killing, aim to destroy both the body and soul to ensure there are no future troubles. Especially in the demon path, after killing someone, they capture the victim's soul for cultivating techniques or for refining magic artifacts. And with this elixir, even if a person is dead, as long as their soul hasn't been completely annihilated, taking the elixir would allow them to regenerate from their bones and come back to life. This effect is simply terrifying. It can be said to be a truly life-saving miracle medicine. However, being ranked as a 4th rank elixir makes it seem somewhat redundant. In battles between nascent soul immortals, one has to strike down the opponent until both body and soul are dispersed, and a nascent soul true lord wouldn't possibly allow someone. I've heard that a nascent soul true lord not only has a lifespan of over 1,000 years but also possesses all sorts of inconceivable methods. One such method is known as body seizure reincarnation. The books say that all the mana and divine skills of a nascent soul true lord are contained within the nascent soul itself, and even if their body is completely destroyed and their soul shattered, as long as the nascent soul survives, they can seize another body and be reborn. And nascent soul true lords have mastery over the power of the void, their nascent souls capable of escaping into it, with no restrictions or techniques able to hold them back, possessing an extremely strong ability to preserve their own lives. Lu Chongxing muttered to himself. Knowledge about the nascent soul mainly came from his usual reading. On the other hand, it was through the cultivation techniques he obtained from the system draws, knowing a thing or two from their descriptions. Nevertheless, as precious and powerful as it is, it's somewhat redundant for me at the moment. Lu Chongqing looked at the soul fusion resurrection elixir, sighed deeply, and simply placed the elixir in the system space to collect dust, planning to take it out only when there was a need for it. Chapter 693. The Demonic Seven Sects, Sending a Clock to the Four Great Families. _1 This day, Lu Chongqing learned of the news about Azure Phoenix Immortal City through Xiaofan. They too faced a surge of demon beasts, and even 3 heaven-ranked demon kings attacked Azure Phoenix Immortal City. This battle nearly resulted in the city being breached. However, the most reclusive loose cultivator of Jiang country, the Azure Phoenix Immortal, re-emerged into public view after many years of silence. With a third-ranked Qing Luan, 500 Qing Luan Dao soldiers in tow, she ferociously battled the 3 great heaven-ranked demon animals. After months of intense fighting, the Azure Phoenix Immortal finally killed the Ironback Kuei Bear and severely wounded the Diamond Ape King, bringing an end to the Beast Tide. The message indicates that if the Beast Tide hadn't been so severe, nearly breaching Azure Phoenix Immortal City, with the strength of the Azure Phoenix Immortal and riding the wave of victory with 500 Qing Luan Dao soldiers, there was even a hope to kill the Diamond Ape King, Xiaofan spoke out, saying thus. Even she was astonished upon receiving this news. For the bloodline grade of demon beasts determines the upper limit of their strength. Like a third-ranked demon king with a heavenly grade bloodline, whose strength corresponds to a nascent soul cultivator with a superior gold core. Each one possesses frightening combat power. Yet the Azure Phoenix Immortal fought 3 alone, managing to slay one and severely wound another. It was nothing short of astounding. 3 heaven-ranked demon kings almost breached Azure Phoenix Immortal City. Upon hearing this, Lu Chongqing drew a deep breath, understanding how fierce and perilous the battle was. He looked at Xiaofan and continued to ask, Shiyu, the strength of this Azure Phoenix Immortal must not be far from making a breakthrough to nascent soul, right? I'm not sure about that. There are rumors that the Azure Phoenix Immortal has been in closed-door cultivation these years, preparing for the assault on nascent soul. There are also rumors that years ago, the Azure Phoenix Immortal delved deep into the Myriad Beasts mountain range and suffered severe injuries, spending these years to recuperate. However, judging from the strength she displayed now, it's estimated she's not far from a breakthrough to nascent soul. Xiaofan said in a low voice. If this Azure Phoenix Immortal breaks through to nascent soul, I fear the entire situation in Jiang country will undergo change, Lu Chongqing said with some emotion. In the Jiang country cultivation realm now, only the Heavenly Sword sect had a nascent soul true lord to preside over it. If the Azure Phoenix Immortal, a loose cultivator, achieves nascent soul, it's feared that not just the whole of Jiang country, but even the neighboring cultivation realms would be shaken. After all, each nascent soul true lord can influence the landscape of a country, of a cultivation realm. This made Lu Chongqing think of the Xianjian true monarch of the Heavenly Sword sect, also a fierce figure. In the beginning, facing the invitation to battle from the 3 great demon sects of Jin Kingdom, he fought alone against 2 nascent soul true monarchs. The result being he almost slew the 5 Poisons cult leader, possessing truly astonishing combat power. This Azure Phoenix Immortal seeking a breakthrough to nascent soul must be immensely difficult. Azure Phoenix Immortal City only has a 3rd-rank spirit vein, which is simply inadequate for assaulting nascent soul. Even if she temporarily elevates the spiritual energy to 4th rank through methods, it is still quite forced. Moreover, with Azure Phoenix Immortal City close to the Myriad Beasts mountain range, once she attempts to attack nascent soul, there will definitely be demon kings attacking, and the 4 great immortal sects, Heavenly Sword sect, Qingyun sect, Spirit Taming sect, and Wuxia sect, wouldn't want to see the Azure Phoenix Immortal achieve nascent soul. Unless she is willing to join one of the 4 great immortal sects. Ling Zixiao held her teacup, her demeanor dignified and elegant, her voice clear as she spoke. Indeed, Lu Chongqing nodded, understanding the principle. It's already quite remarkable for the Azure Phoenix Immortal to rise powerfully as a loose cultivator and establish Azure Phoenix Immortal City. As a loose cultivator, no power wanted to see her break through to nascent soul. Because resources in the cultivation world are limited. With each new person, a share of the bounty must be divided up. Yet this beast tide should have a major issue. As far as I recall, there hasn't been such an exaggerated beast tide for nearly a century. Ling Zixiao frowned slightly, saying so. Indeed, there is a problem. The main target of this beast tide was the Spirit Taming sect, not Azure Phoenix Immortal City. The news I received indicates that the Spirit Taming sect suffered heavy losses in this battle. Not only were several lines of defense breached, Innumerable disciples died or were injured, but also 2 nascent soul immortals and 1 sect guardian spiritual beast were killed, a massive blow to their strength. Were it not for the support from the Qing Yun sect, Wuxia sect, and Heavenly Sword sect, the defenses might have been breached. I even suspect that a 4th-rank Great Demon King has emerged within the myriad beasts mountain range. Only such a force could stir up such a beast tide, Xiaofan said out loud. 2 nascent soul immortals have died? I had heard that the spirit-taming sect only had 6 nascent soul immortals to begin with. Now 2 have died? Upon hearing this, Lu Chongqing couldn't help but click his tongue. In the Jiang country cultivation realm, nascent soul immortals are top figures wherever they are. Like families and powers presided over by a nascent soul immortal, they are known as cultivation noble houses. But now the spirit-taming sect has lost 2 nascent soul immortals and a 3rd-rank spiritual beast in just one battle, which is absolutely dreadful. Yes, now the spirit-taming sect only has 4 nascent soul immortals left. However, the spirit-taming sect also has 2 3rd-rank sect guardian spiritual beasts. The sect's foundation is deep, Xiaofan said thus. The cultivation world in these years is truly in an era of frequent turmoil. The invasion incident of the Jin Kingdom demon path hasn't passed long, and now such a horrific beast tide has risen. Lu Chongqing took a deep breath and sighed. In earlier years, he thought the cultivation world was relatively stable. It seems now that the cultivation world has never been at peace, always churning with undercurrents. It's just that his strength was too low before, and his channels of information were limited. He was unaware of many things. Just like the news from the direction of Azure Phoenix Immortal City, had he not asked Xiaofan to pay more attention, he would still be unaware now. My lord, turbulence is the norm in the cultivation world. In our Jiang country's west, called the Western region, it belongs to a chaotic area with 100 nations existing together, humans and demons cohabiting, with wars and chaos every year, nations being destroyed. Chapter 694. The Demonic 7 Sects, Sending a Clock to the 4 Great Families. Our Jiang country, 50 years ago, also waged war with Yu country and invaded Yan country. Ling Zixiao spoke, saying so. That's right, in the cultivation world, wars tend to break out every few decades. But the geographical location of our Jiang country is quite advantageous. To the west, we have the western regions. To the north, the natural barrier of the Great Dream Marsh. To the south, Yu country is a righteous nation friendly to us and also guarded by the natural barrier of the Myriad Beasts mountain range. The only threats to be wary of are the demon path of Jin Kingdom and the tide of demon beasts from the Myriad Beasts mountain range. Xiaofan said, speaking out loud. So, as long as there is no major war, our Jiang country is relatively safe. Lu Chongqing heard this and chuckled lightly. Indeed, as long as there isn't a war on the scale of the past conflict with the demonic 7 sects, the impact on Jiang country shouldn't be too great. Of course, if Jin Kingdom were to produce another nascent soul true lord, the situation might change. Ling Zixiao said with a light smile. Demonic 7 sects? Upon hearing this, Lu Chongqing showed a hint of surprise on his face. He had read many books and knew a bit about the southern wilderness cultivation realm, but he had never heard of these demonic 7 sects. Yes, the demonic 7 sects. I once read in a notebook that 800 years ago, 7 powers from the southern wilderness cultivation realm formed an alliance, waged war, and invaded other countries. That war was incredibly brutal, nearly affecting half of the southern wilderness cultivation realm, with countless countries and powers falling. Not only did nascent soul immortals fall, but even nascent soul true lords perished. Ling Zixiao picked up her tea, took a light sip, and said with a hint of emotion. I seem to have read about this war in the histories of the southern wilderness, which mentioned it was a great battle between righteousness and the demonic path, with the demonic path eventually being repelled by the united righteous powers? Lu Chongqing said, frowning slightly. Yes, that's the war. I saw in the notebook that in just a few years, the demonic 7 sects conquered several countries, sweeping through and nearly claiming a quarter of the southern wilderness cultivation realm, forcing many countries and immortal sects of the righteous path to form an alliance and unite to rebuff the demonic 7 sects. The war was exceptionally brutal, ending only when the demon witch sect's nascent soul elder perished, prompting the remaining 6 sects to retreat. Ling Zixiao recounted slowly. The demon witch sect, an elder in the later stages of the nascent soul perished? Lu Chongqing realized the extent of the war's ferocity only after hearing these words. The history book he read about the southern wilderness mentioned the war only briefly. He hadn't realized it ended with the fall of a late-stage nascent soul great cultivator. Xiao, besides the demon witch sect, what were the other 6 sects called? Lu Chongqing asked curiously. They seem to be named the Demonic Sect, Holy Lotus Cult, Blood Sea Sect, Myriad Beasts Demon Sect, Netherworld Ghost Sect, and Azure Sky Demon Sect, Ling Zixiao said after a moment of contemplation. Due to her dragon roar physique, she often read a wide variety of books, but even so, she couldn't remember these details very clearly. In the 800 years since then, these demonic 7 sects must still exist, right? Lu Chongqing continued to inquire. I'm not too sure either. I only came across this part of history in the notebook. Sects like the Heavenly Sword Sect and the Qing Yun Sect have legacies spanning thousands of years. Even though the demonic 7 sects suffered heavy losses back then, except for the Demon Witch Sect, the remaining 6 sects all had nascent soul stage elders, so it's hard to imagine their legacies coming to an end, Ling Zixiao elaborated. Let's hope a war of that scale doesn't happen in the future, Lu Chongqing sighed. He felt that if such a major war were to break out, he would need to be at least at the nascent soul stage to protect his family. Otherwise, even a nascent soul immortal might perish in such a conflict. At that moment, Lu Chongqing recognized that his power, when compared to the entire Qingyun region, was quite commendable. But when considering the entire Jiang country cultivation realm, or even the whole southern wilderness cultivation realm, it was not sufficient. Nascent soul. Despite his confidence in his future, he couldn't predict when he might achieve a nascent soul breakthrough. After all, the entire Jiang country cultivation realm currently only had one nascent soul true lord, which spoke to the difficulty of reaching that stage. He didn't ponder long and continued chatting with Ling Zixiao and Xiao Xia about matters of the cultivation world. Even though he read quite a lot of books regularly, compared to Ling Zixiao, he felt rather inferior. So talking with Ling Zixiao was also an opportunity to gain much knowledge. Azure Phoenix Immortal City. Despite the heavy casualties in the onslaught of the beast tide, Azure Phoenix Immortal City managed to recover its usual bustle and hustle within a few months. After all, to loose cultivators, death was a norm. As long as Azure Phoenix Immortal City and the Azure Phoenix Immortal existed, offering 2nd and 3rd rank cave dwellings, foundation establishment elixirs, and other rare elixir medicines and treasures, there would always be a steady stream of cultivators arriving at Azure Phoenix Immortal City, forming the foundation of the city. Moreover, not everyone shares the same joy and sorrow. Those cultivators who survived the beast tide gained substantially, with faces alight with joy. In a humble courtyard of the outer city, this 3 Suns elixir truly deserves to be a 2nd-rank rare spirit pill. It not only allowed me to break through to the 9th level of energy refinement but has also healed all the hidden injuries and issues I accumulated over the years. In the practice room, Li Feiyu opened his eyes, and his handsome face revealed a trace of happiness. He had been seriously injured in the battle of the beast tide but managed to survive with his body refinement. Now that the beast tide had subsided, Azure Phoenix Immortal City fulfilled its promise of rewarding based on merit, settling the dues for everyone involved. With these merits, he exchanged for a 3 Suns elixir. Chapter 695. The Demonic 7 Sects, Sending a Clock to the 4 Great Families. Not only had his cultivation level advanced further, but he had also resolved the hidden dangers from his injuries and the consumption of a 2nd-rank monster core during previous battles. Although this merit is not small, it's still far from enough to achieve foundation establishment. As Li Feiyu thought about the path ahead, a sense of gravity appeared on his face. Through his endeavors in Azure Phoenix Immortal City, he had gained some understanding of foundation establishment. He came to a profound realization of the difficulty he would face in attempting to break through to foundation establishment. He possessed only a 7th-grade spiritual root. With a lower-grade spiritual root, when breaking through the 3 barriers of foundation establishment and transforming spiritual power into mana, the conversion efficiency is too slow, proving to be a burden. Therefore, for those with a lower-grade spiritual root to break through to foundation establishment, they must have a foundation establishment elixir and foundation establishment spiritual objects linked to the magic barrier with only a 10 to 20% chance of success. And with his current merits, he could at most exchange for 1 foundation establishment spiritual object. Chongqing has already achieved foundation establishment. How can I allow myself to fall behind? I still have more than 10 years, What difficulty would there be in striving to procure a foundation establishment elixir in this time? Under Li Feiyu's dark brows, his eyes were deep and bright, exuding an unstoppable determination. The vast clear sky was as pure as a washed sapphire, the azure heaven untouched by a single cloud. Among the cloud borders, a spirit boat shuttled along with 6 cultivators aboard, men and women alike. Leading them was a man with a rebellious face and a physique as imposing as a mountain, who radiated a fierce and bandit-like aura in his red robe. He looked at a youth aboard the spirit boat, around 27 or 28 years old, with a hint of violence between his brows and said, "Little brother, in half a month, we will arrive at the Red Leaf Valley market you spoke of. Have you thought about how to resolve it?" The brawny man said with a sonorous voice and a wild look on his face. "Big brother, my parents died in that Red Leaf Valley market, so I want the entire market and the 4 major families backing it to accompany my parents in death as a sacrifice to their spirits." Upon hearing this, Feng Ye's brows were filled with violence, and hatred flickered in his eyes. 10 years ago, his parents, in order to prepare foundation establishment resources for him, chose to loot the marketplace. As a result, both of them perished at Red Leaf Valley Market. While he was fleeing alone, the blood feud of his parents constantly spurred him on. Through countless brushes with death, he finally made some gains, chancing upon an opportunity in an ancient cave dwelling, breaking through to foundation establishment. Later, he even gathered several sworn brothers and a Dao companion in the Imperial Spirit Sex domain due to a beast tide. Especially after the eldest brother and his Dao companion learned of his thirst for revenge, inquired about the cause, and expressed a willingness to help him avenge his parents, he was deeply moved. "Good, worthy of little brother indeed, truly domineering, let's do it the way you suggested." A rough and unrestrained voice echoed. "This Red Leaf Valley market, as little brother said, is just made up of a few foundation establishment families. With all of us brothers going there, aren't they easy to manipulate?" Another voice, leaning towards the cold, rang out. "With our older brothers present, surely they will be easy to manipulate, but these families all have great formations protecting them. If we make consecutive moves, we might even attract people from Qing Yun's sect. Brother Yu, do you have any tokens to send to these 4 families to let them know you've returned, to keep them constantly anxious? Once they gather, or if we manage to lure them together, we'll find an opportunity to eradicate them all in one fell swoop." The peach-dressed woman by Feng Ye's side spoke out. "Little sister, this proposal isn't bad at all. In that case, when the time comes, we'll send a clock to these 4 families and tell them little brother is back, to let them know they will repay their debts in blood, to get cleaned up and wait for death. Kekekek." As someone heard the suggestion, they immediately laughed boisterously. "All right then, when the time comes, we'll send a clock to these 4 families as a harbinger of their end." Feng Yu, hearing this, displayed a cruel smile. Then, looking at the sky with eyes full of malevolence, he muttered, "Dad, Mom, your son will use Red Leaf Valley Market, the 4 major families, to sacrifice to your spirits in heaven." By Lake Mountain. Chongqing Hall. Inside the cave dwelling. Clang, clang, clang. Lu Chongqing heard the noise and gazed at the golden cocoon. As the clear and resonant sounds of clinking and clashing rose incessantly, the golden cocoon began to crack. Boom! The golden cocoon exploded with a bang, and infinite radiance surged forth. A 6-winged golden silkworm, its body shimmering with golden light, appeared. After its promotion to the 2nd rank, there had been no significant change. Its body had grown from the original 2 inches to 4 or 5 inches, glistening throughout, and its wings, thin as cicadas, sported strands of golden patterns. The whole gave off the impression of an invincible and indestructible aura. After advancing to the 2nd rank, what changes are there? Lu Chongqing looked at the 6-winged golden silkworm in front of him and asked aloud. Though the 6-winged golden silkworm was known for its ferocity and brutality, with hardly any spiritual intelligence to speak of, through systematic training, Lu Chongqing could still communicate simply with it. But as soon as the 6-winged golden silkworm heard Lu Chongqing's words, it spat out a beam of golden light, sharp as an arrow. Boom! The beam struck the wall of the cave abode, leaving behind a black, scorching gap. As expected of an ancient rare insect species, just having ascended to the 2nd rank, it boasts such an attack power. This cave abode was constructed mainly from void Xian stones and inscribed with spiritual pattern formations. While not as hard as spiritual artifacts, it's comparable to a magic artifact. Moreover, within this golden light, besides its sharpness, there's also a true fire essence that can scorch and corrode one's body and soul. Lu Chongqing examined the spot where the six-winged golden silkworm attacked, his face showing delight. He clearly recognized the terror of the six-winged golden silkworm's offensive capabilities. An average foundation establishment cultivator facing such attacks would likely disintegrate body and soul if careless. As if understanding Lu Changsheng's encouragement, the six-winged golden silkworm shook its body, and the gold light around it exploded exponentially, taking on the appearance of a massive golden cup. Clang, clang, clang. Lu Chongqing tapped on the six-winged golden silkworm's body with his finger. He then pulled out a superior magic artifact and chopped at the six-winged golden silkworm. But the magical sword collided with the golden silkworm, resulting only in a noise reminiscent of clashing metal. Slash! Lu Chongqing circulated his mana and spurred the magical sword to continue slashing at the six-winged golden silkworm. Yet, like a golden cup, the golden silkworm remained completely unyielding. Even after being chopped twice, the golden silkworm became slightly restless, its body emanating a ferocious and savage bloodthirsty aura. This was Lu Chongqing, its master, and it was able to control itself. If it were anyone else, it would have attacked by now. Such a physique is not weaker than a lower-grade spiritual artifact, even stronger than average spiritual artifacts by a margin. Lu Chongqing put away the magical sword and took out a gourd filled with spiritual blood to feed the six-winged golden silkworm. After a simple test, he had gained a clear understanding of the six-winged golden silkworm's strength. For the likes of the Yu family, Lu Yuanzhong, Bai Yunyang, and those at the foundation establishment level, facing the six-winged golden silkworm meant almost certain death. Because their cultivation level and strength were unlikely to break through the six-winged golden silkworm's defenses. And facing its attack, they would have difficulty defending. However, if they fled immediately upon encounter, there was still a good chance they could escape. After the six-winged golden silkworm had eaten its fill, Lu Chongqing put it back into the spiritual pet bag and walked out of Chongqing Hall. Husband. Just at that moment, Lu Miaoyun rushed over hurriedly to inform Lu Chongqing of a piece of news. Chapter 696. I contracted a rank 3 spiritual beast before. _1. The remnants of the robber cultivator from the Red Leaf Valley Market? Sending a bell? Blood for blood. May you journey well in the Yellow Springs. As Lu Chongqing heard Lu Miaoyun's words and looked at the copper bell in his hand, with residual foundation establishment late-stage mana, his brow furrowed slightly. He thought to himself, do robber cultivators nowadays play like this? Facing such a situation, should I shout, aside from nascent soul immortals, who dares to act against our 4 major families? Who dares to curse me with a bell? Investigate this for me. Yunar, did you see who brought this bell here? Lu Chongqing asked aloud. Xiao Yu was guarding the mountain gate when the bell directly smashed in front of it, and no trace of a person was seen. So this is most likely the doing of a foundation establishment cultivator. Lu Miaoyun replied with pursed lips. Lu Chongqing nodded thoughtfully after hearing this. A foundation establishment cultivator coming to do this and deliberately leaving behind a trail of foundation establishment late-stage magic aura was obviously not a mere prank. Although such an event wasn't taken seriously by Lu Chongqing, even to the point of thinking the other party had issues in the head, this matter was not aimed at by Lake Mountain. Rather, it was targeted at the Red Leaf Valley Market and the 4 major families. Therefore, Lu Chongqing still had some worries for Qingzhou Mountain and Lu Miaoga. After all, if the other party indeed had a foundation establishment late-stage cultivator, they posed a certain threat to Qingzhou Mountain and Red Leaf Valley Market. Especially the Red Leaf Valley Market. The market was always open to the public. If a foundation establishment robber cultivator infiltrated, it would be quite troublesome. Yunar, send messages to Qingzhou Mountain, 100 Birds Lake, and the Zheng family to see what they think, Lu Chongqing suggested after a moment's thought. If our family received this bell, the other 3 families surely did as well. Yes, my lord, Lu Miaoyun responded, nodding her head and going to send a communication talisman. Afterward, Lu Chongqing, holding the copper bell, went to consult Ling Zixiao and Xiao Xia for their opinions. This person dares to act this way, either because they're pretending to be mysterious or they truly possess extraordinary strength, completely disregarding our families, Ling Zixiao said calmly and elegantly after examining the bell. She was aware of Lu Changsheng's strength and was not particularly concerned about the matter. Moreover, her health had improved a lot over the past few years of treatment. Combined with a newly repaired family's great formation, unless it was a nascent soul immortal attacking the formation, there was nothing to fear. Chongqing, if you need it, I can report this matter to the sect and request that they send someone to investigate, Xiaofan said softly. Although matters like this were generally not managed by Qing Yun's sect unless they escalated, if she went to report it, they could still send someone to investigate. These people dare to act in such a way. Obviously, they're not afraid of Qing Yun's sect coming to investigate. Moreover, Qing Yun's sect would probably only send 1 or 2 foundation establishment cultivators to oversee and investigate, right? Lu Chongqing said aloud. Through the previous incident with Xiaofan money, he knew the sect would get involved in such matters, but they usually only handled it after the fact. After all, causing a big incident within one's own territory was equivalent to slapping Qing Yun's sect in the face. But if there's just a threatening bell and nothing has actually happened, expecting Qing Yun's sect to send someone to resolve it would likely be extremely difficult. Given the vastness of the cultivation world, and enemies not yet revealing themselves, finding someone is very difficult. Qing Yun's sect likely wouldn't bother. For matters like this, the sect usually only sends foundation establishment cultivators to investigate or to be stationed, Xiaofan said, lips slightly parted. These robber cultivators might be bold and arrogant, but not a single one is foolish. They dare to act this way because they're not afraid of the Qing Yun sect's investigation. Now that the enemy is hidden and we are exposed, we can only wait for them to show themselves. Ling Zixiao spoke out loud. I'm not so worried about this matter. I'm mainly concerned about Qingzhou Mountain, 100 Birds Lake, and Sister Mayaja's situation, Lu Chongqing said. This is indeed troublesome, Ling Zixiao nodded slightly, propped up her chin with her jade arm, and mused. My lord, in my view, there are 3 possibilities why this robber cultivator acts this way. One is that they possess absolute power and completely disregard us, using this method for revenge. After all, many madmen seeking revenge like to display themselves in this way. Another is that it's all smoke and mirrors. Considering this person's identity, a remnant of the robber cultivator from 10 years ago, the fact that they didn't show themselves indicates that at the most, they were at the peak of qi refinement. 10 years have passed, and even with some opportunity, they could at most be at middle-stage foundation establishment. Such strength is insufficient for revenge, hence they use these tactics to intimidate and trouble us. Lastly, it might be a method to confuse us, keeping us worried and alert for some time until we let our guard down, and then strike unexpectedly, either against Red Leaf Valley Market or one of the families. Ling Zixiao stated slowly. I think there's another possibility, Xiaofan, with her cool and noble demeanor said. Considering the current information, this remnant of the robber cultivator is likely not alone. They want revenge against Red Leaf Valley Market and the 4 families behind it. But in the Qing Yun region, annihilating someone else's family without cause is viewed as an act of the demon path, especially if they act against the marketplace. So these people wanting to act against both the marketplace and the 4 families simultaneously is difficult. They can only target one family. Once they make their move, the other families will be on alert, drawing Qing Yun's sect's intervention. So even if they possess absolute power, it would be troublesome to continue targeting the remaining major families after, only to flee and hide under Qing Yun's sect's pursuit. Their actions, aside from arrogance and mystery, could also be a way to prompt consultations among the 4 families or to increase security at Red Leaf Valley Market, followed by their revenge. Chapter 697. I contracted a rank 3 spiritual beast before. Xiaofan voiced her analysis. Not impossible. Upon hearing Xiaofan's words, Ling Zixiao nodded slightly. Lu Chongqing, listening to the conversation between the 2 women, pondered for a moment before looking at Ling Zixiao. Zixiao, how is your injury now? My lord, rest assured, my body has already recovered quite a bit. Should I encounter a situation like with Xiaofan money in the past, I am now well able to cope. Moreover, with Daoist Xiao at home, along with the golden armor bean mother, 2nd rank puppets, my lord can rest assured to head to Qingzhou Mountain and Red Leaf Valley Market. Ling Zixiao, hearing Lu Changsheng's words, showed a slight smile and said so. Her complexion was still pale, but not as devoid of blood as before. With the treatment from the 9 treasures Rui bone, her meridians and Danshan's recovery was limited, but the overall situation had improved markedly. Chongqing, if you're going to Qingzhou Mountain and Red Leaf Valley, you still need to be careful. If it really comes down to it, I can ask for assistance from the Qingyun sect to station someone at Qingzhou Mountain. Xiaofan said. She knew that Lu Chongqing was quite exceptional. Having just broken through to Foundation Establishment, he had been able to slay Meng Yibai, who was at the middle stage of Foundation Establishment. But the true extent of Lu Changsheng's power remained unclear to her. With the current situation of the enemy hidden and us exposed, she did not want Lu Chongqing to take any risks. You rest assured, Lu Chongqing smiled slightly, holding Xiaoxia's hand, and then turned to Ling Zixiao. It's not about that, Zixiao. Do you remember I mentioned before about wanting you to set up a formation at the summit of Baiyun Peak? He had always wanted to plant the Mount Sumeru Tree King. However, considering Ling Zixiao's physical condition, he had not raised this request. Now, encountering such an incident, if Ling Zixiao's body had mostly recovered, he planned to plant the Mount Sumeru Tree King. This way, he wouldn't need to worry about home theft when he was away. Although at home, with Xiaoxia, Ling Zixiao, the Golden Armor Bean Mother, 3rd-rank talismans, and 2nd-rank puppets, they were unlikely to encounter any danger. But Ling Zixiao had only just started to recover, and he did not wish for her condition to worsen due to any situation. And Xiaoxia would also be leaving next year. Of course, I remember. My situation now is such that, as long as it is not the setting up of a large-scale formation, there shouldn't be any significant problem. My lord, what sort of formation do you want? Upon hearing these words, a stream of warmth flowed through Ling Zixiao's heart, and she answered with a gentle smile. This formation mainly needs to be able to conceal the situation at the mountain summit and the aura of a 3rd-rank demon. Lu Chongqing spoke. 3rd-rank demon aura? Both Ling Zixiao and Xiaoxia were startled upon hearing this. 3rd-rank demon aura implied the presence of a 3rd-rank demon king. Such level of demon beasts were revered as clan-guarding spiritual beasts wherever they were. By saying this, did Lu Chongqing possess a 3rd-rank spiritual beast? The 2 women looked at Lu Chongqing with shocked and incredulous expressions. Seeing the astonishment and uncertainty in the eyes of the 2 women, Lu Chongqing chuckled. That's right, I happened to fortuitously contract a 3rd-rank tree king by chance. Right now, this honored tree king resides within a certain extraordinary treasure, and once it is released, it will no longer be movable. Hence I thought, Zixiao, now that you can set up a formation to conceal its aura, we could settle it at the summit of Baiyun Peak. That way, I wouldn't have to worry about any danger befalling the house. Lu Chongqing said with a smile. A 3rd-rank demon king. Both Ling Zixiao and Xiaoxia found it hard to believe and were momentarily at a loss for words upon hearing this. Even though they were aware of the great fortunes and secrets Lu Chongqing possessed, that he was quite extraordinary, binding a 3rd-rank demon king as a spiritual beast during the Foundation establishment phase was simply too astonishing. You must know, that was a sovereign demon king. To make such a majestic being submit and become a contracted spiritual beast was nearly as difficult as ascending to divinity. Especially when there was such a discrepancy in strength, with Lu Chongqing only at Foundation establishment. With Lu Chongqing having such a 3rd-rank spiritual beast to protect his family, he could quite confidently claim to be a cultivation clan. However, upon hearing Lu Changsheng's words, the 2 women also understood the problem. The Tree King. Unlike plant demon beasts, such as tree and vegetation spirits, which differ from furry, feathered, scaled, or insectoid demon beasts, if they haven't achieved transformation, they cannot move about freely. Therefore, contracting such a plant-based spiritual beast would be somewhat less deterrent in its external influence. Indeed, it might even invite trouble due to this factor. My lord, how strong is this 3rd-rank demon king's power and aura? Ling Zixiao came back to her senses and asked Lu Chongqing. This is something I can't quite describe, but it is among the stronger ones within the 3rd rank, Lu Chongqing pondered slightly. Although he did not know the exact strength of the Mount Sumeru Tree King, the words low-grade true spirit already said everything. When a demon beast with a heavenly grade bloodline grows to the 3rd rank, it is equivalent to a cultivator who has condensed a superior gold core. Chapter 698. I contracted a rank 3 spiritual beast before. Lu Chongxing thought about the promise from a nascent soul immortal he still held. Although 20 years had passed, he didn't know if this nascent soul immortal would still honor their previously made agreement. Besides these, he also had his connection to Xiaofan. The master of the other party also seemed quite decent, previously willing to help when he encountered trouble in Qingyun's sect. Should it come to that, he might be able to rely on this connection to seek refuge with Qingyun's sect. As Lu Chongxing calculated in such a manner, he suddenly felt that if he were to let loose completely, his strength would be sufficient to carve out a territory in the Qingyun region. However, such matters were only a thought to him. Unless absolutely necessary, he couldn't possibly reveal everything. After all, wasn't it better for him to develop peacefully and steadily? Alright, since it is so, I will set up a small-scale inverted 5 elements formation here. I will weaken and simplify the defensive, prohibitive, and enemy-confining effects of the formation, and enhance all of its concealing, illusory, and confusing effects. This way, we could shield the situation of the third-ranked Tree King. Ling Zixiao said this. After speaking, she looked at Lu Chongxing and said, "However, my lord, you still need to consider one thing. If this Tree King starts to inhale and exhale spiritual energy, I'm afraid it will consume the entire spirit vein of Baiyun Peak." "I have already thought about this problem. You can rest assured, Zixiao," Lu Chongxing replied with a smile. "Then I am relieved, but I will need my lord to prepare some materials for the formation," Ling Zixiao said with a faint smile. "All right, no problem." Lu Chongxing nodded, immediately asking Ling Zixiao what materials were needed and how long it would take to set up the formation. "Our family still has 2 array masters, so it won't take long to cover the peak of Baiyun Peak. It can be done in about 10 days, Ling Zixiao stated. "All right, no problem," Lu Chongxing nodded, checked what materials were missing, then concealed his form and went out. He prepared to make a trip to Qingzhou Mountain and the Red Leaf Valley Market to purchase all the materials. Meanwhile, 9 Dragons Market. In a small courtyard. The message has already been sent to the 4 major families. Let them fall into chaos for a while, and when the time is right, we'll go rob the Red Leaf Valley Market. Once the 4 families' Foundation establishment members come to support, we'll be able to kill them all in one fell swoop and avenge you brother's parents. Tao Xiaolan, wearing a peach-colored dress, said. She wanted her partner to achieve clarity of thought and be freed from hatred, even considering replicating actions from the past. It's a pity that the Yu family has been destroyed. I still wanted to flay and dismember that person, to offer my parents' spirits in heaven. Feng Yu said bitterly. Among the 4 major families, he hated the Yu family the most. Because it was the patriarch of the Yu family who interfered with his parents, otherwise they still had a chance to escape. Although he hated the nameless sword cultivator who killed his parents, this hatred had nowhere to vent. He planned to investigate the information and seek revenge once he advanced further in strength. I've inquired a bit about the 4 families, and we need to be a bit wary of Lu Chongxing from the Blue Lake Mountain Lu family. This man once used a talisman formation to kill 3 of the Yu family's Foundation establishment cultivators. Although they were only 1 middle stage and 2 early stage cultivators, he's not someone to be underestimated, a middle-aged man with a fair complexion and a soft, feminine brow said. Although they did not view the Red Leaf Valley Market or the 4 major families seriously, as robber cultivators who had traveled far and wide, they still maintained a level of caution. Upon arriving at the Red Leaf Valley Market, they also discreetly learned about the situation of the 4 major families. Talisman formation? This thing is indeed out of the ordinary. Once in Yu country, I encountered a kid from the Beast Talisman sect. He sacrificed a pile of talismans, forming a talisman formation, and nearly caused me, the Buddha, to capsize in the gutter and fall into his hands. A burly bald man with a scarred head said this. Oh, second brother actually encountered such a matter? What was the kid's cultivation level that he nearly tripped you up? Upon hearing this, Feng Yu asked. He knew well his second brother's prowess, who had just broken through to the late stage of Foundation establishment, but long possessed a corporeal body of the late stage of Foundation establishment. That kid was at the early stage of Foundation establishment, but he sacrificed 100 talismans in an instant, forming a strange beast. If it wasn't for Buddha's Vajra overlord body and talisman treasure for protection, I really wouldn't have been able to break his talisman formation. The bald man touched the scar on his head, recalling with unease. Talisman formation technique is indeed powerful, But this method has a fatal flaw. At this moment, the red-robed man, sitting upright and dominating at the head of the table, said. He propped up his thick and muscular legs on the table, continuing, all the might of this talisman formation lies in the talismans. Ordinary cultivators don't snatch them. Talismans rely on being purchased with money, or drawing them themselves, so how many talismans can they have? So indeed, such techniques can only serve as a trump card, a life-saving means. Chapter 699. I contracted a rank 3 spiritual beast before. For, not to mention anything else, the opportunities this lad has had alone make our trip worthwhile. A thin, sallow-faced elder in a black robe cackled with laughter. As the others chatted and conversed, a burst of cheerful laughter filled the hall. Qingzhou Mountain. Qingzhou Hall. Chongqing. How about I go to the Red Leaf Valley Market to watch over things, and let Miaoga stay at home to hold the fort? Lu Yuanzhong suggested to Lu Chongqing. Uncle, there's no need for that. With this second-rank communication talisman and these 3, if anything comes up, contact me immediately, and I will rush over as fast as I can. Though Lu Chongqing thought the proposal was good, after consideration, he still declined. After all, he had a rough idea of Lu Yuanzhong's combat abilities. Let alone being affected by injuries, even in his prime, his strength was quite average. Lu Miaoga might only be at the first layer of foundation establishment, but with her practice of the water of virtue technique and her perfect foundation base, her mana is powerful. And with the second-rank talismans, third-rank talismans, and talisman treasures he had given her, her strength was sufficient to deal with anyone at the middle stage of foundation establishment. She could even slay those at the late stage of foundation establishment if they were weak enough. Plus, if she couldn't win, she could still escape with the help of the talismans. All right, Chongqing, you also need to be extra careful. Lu Yuanzhong nodded upon hearing this and said no more. Having seen how Lu Chongqing and Lu Miaoga treated him earlier, he knew their mana was far stronger than his. If it weren't for the fear of losing face, he would even consider sparring with Lu Chongqing and Lu Miaoga to gauge the gap between them. Rest assured, uncle, Lu Chongqing nodded. He then went to pay respects to his father-in-law, Lu Yuanding, and the fourth elder. Years had passed, and Lu Yuanding had aged considerably, with much more white hair. Looking at his father-in-law, Lu Chongqing felt quite nostalgic. He vividly remembered how the man had taken him back to the Lu family at the foot of the Qingyun sect. After paying his respects, Lu Chongqing prepared to leave. At that moment, a woman was supporting an old, stooped man nearby. The two were talking about something. The old man looked at Lu Chongqing and immediately called out, "Greetings to Lu Mountain Lord." Uncle Gue. Upon seeing the elder, Lu Chongqing stopped, nodded with a smile, and greeted him. This old man was the Qingzhou Villa's 100 Treasures Pavilion shopkeeper, who had taken good care of him in the past. Greetings to Lu Mountain Lord. The woman beside him looked at Lu Chongqing with a complex expression and respectfully greeted him. Little Moon, long time no see, Lu Chongqing nodded slightly, recognizing her as Uncle Gui's granddaughter. After a brief exchange with the two, he took out a bottle of elixir medicine from his storage bag that could nourish the flesh and gifted it to Uncle Gue. Although the man possessed the cultivation level of Qi refinement, 5th layer, his years of hard work had taken a toll on his health. If he could nourish himself with the elixir medicine, he would be able to live a few years longer. Please accept it, Uncle Gue. You took good care of me in the past. It'll trouble you to pass these 2 bottles of elixir medicine to Uncle Fu and Lu Bo on my behalf, Lu Chongqing said, taking out 2 more bottles for the other 2 stewards. Thank you, Lu Mountain Lord. Both expressed their gratitude, and watching Lu Chongqing walk away, they were filled with emotion. They had never thought that the once son-in-law, who had become a formidable ancestor and master of a mountain, would still remember the kindness they showed him and display such warmth. Upon arriving at the Red Leaf Valley Market, Lu Chongqing met with Lu Miaoga and spoke about the matter of the robber cultivators. Lu Miaoga had already received the news and said she would increase patrols and be more vigilant in the Red Leaf Valley Market during this time. Afterwards, Lu Chongqing also asked Lu Miaoga to help see if they could gather all the materials needed for the family's array in the Red Leaf Valley Market, so he wouldn't have to make another trip to any other marketplaces. Chapter 700. Su Ruyan. Is this a heaven-ranked demon beast? One night. Enveloped by the hazy moonlight and the powerful formation, the entire Red Leaf Valley market appeared as if draped in a thin light veil, lending it a mysterious and solemn air. At this late hour, silence reigned, save for the rustling of the red maple trees and the faint sounds of patrolling guards. In a simple yet elegant cave dwelling, Lu Chongqing caressed Lu Maiage's flawless jade body, which was flushed pink from warmth and covered in fine beads of sweat, completing the last step of the tender embrace technique. He merged the dual cultivation's yin essence with his own yang essence, thereby transforming one into two, two into three, and returning it all back. Lu Maiage's beautiful face, fair as snow, blushed like the dawn, as radiant and vibrant as peach blossoms, while her delicate body trembled gently as if it were mud softened by water. Lu Chongqing embraced his beloved wife, his palm gently caressing her soft and smooth skin, akin to mutton-fat jade. After breaking through foundation establishment while practicing the water of virtue technique, not only Lu Maiage's temperament but also her physique became even more perfect and flawless. After a moment, Lu Chongqing tenderly inquired, "Sister Miaoga, how long until you break through to the second level of foundation establishment?" "I currently have 126 drops of liquefied mana, and I estimate it will take another 2 to 3 years to break through to the second level." Lu Maiage's beautiful eyes shimmered like water, and her rosy cheeks seemed to burn with fire, making her graceful and gentle face indescribably radiant. 2 to 3 years. Lu Chongqing nodded slightly upon hearing her words. He knew that Lu Maiage's progress was delayed by everyday trifles, as well as by treating Lu Yuanzhong and Ling Zixiao. Otherwise, with the aid of the elixir medicines he had provided, her cultivation would not be so slow. With his hands feeling the supple smoothness, he inhaled the orchid musk fragrance of his wife and posed another question. "Sister Miaoga, currently in Qingzhou Mountain, who do you think is suitable for attempting foundation establishment?" There was just one ingredient missing for the concoction of the foundation establishment elixir. If he was not able to acquire it this year, Lu Chongqing planned to have Xiaofan exchange for one from the Qingyun sect. Therefore, by next year at the latest, he should be able to gather the necessary ingredients and refine the foundation establishment elixir. He had long decided on how to distribute the foundation building elixir. With his alchemy skills, he could stably produce 3 pills. Out of the 3 foundation establishment elixirs, one would go to Qingzhou Mountain, and another to Bai Ling. As for the remaining one, he would decide based on the situation at the time. Attempting foundation establishment? Upon hearing this, Lu Maiage's face showed a hint of contemplation as she said, "Currently, only Miao Feng and Mu Ping in our family are capable of attempting foundation establishment. If I were to choose, Miao Feng is definitely more suitable than Mu Ping. Not only has he had one attempt at foundation establishment, but he has also gone through more tempering and has a more steadfast Dao heart." "Chongqing, what's the matter?" Lu Miaoga looked at Lu Chongqing, asking him. "I previously obtained a special second-rank monster core, and I have been collecting ingredients for the foundation establishment elixir over the past few years. Now, I have almost all the ingredients I need. If all goes well, I should be able to gather them all next year and refine the foundation establishment elixir. Thus, I am thinking of giving one foundation establishment elixir to Qingzhou Mountain, so someone from the family can break through to foundation establishment, and you, Sister Miaoga, won't have to strain yourself so much. You can then cultivate in peace at Bai Lake Mountain," Lu Chongqing said while shaping a snow figure with his hands. Foundation establishment elixir. Upon hearing this, Lu Maiage's face showed surprise, her heart throbbing. She had already been deeply moved by Lu Chongqing preparing a foundation establishment elixir for her. She had not expected that Lu Chongqing could obtain another foundation establishment elixir, and had even planned to give one to Qingzhou Mountain for her sake. For a moment, she didn't know what to say. After all, she wasn't the kind of family's Missy who had never experienced hardship. She knew all too well how difficult it was to acquire a foundation establishment elixir. Moreover, Bai Lake Mountain was currently running at a loss, relying solely on Lu Chongqing, the head of the household. In such a situation, Lu Chongqing was still thinking about her and Qingzhou Mountain. "Chongqing, if it is convenient, I will speak to my uncle later, so that the family can prepare spirit stones or write an IOU." Lu Miaoga lightly bit her lip, her eyes brimming like liquid. Although she had an inextricable emotional attachment to Qingzhou Mountain and wished for it to improve continuously, as Lu Changsheng's wife, She felt she already owed him enough and didn't want her husband to keep giving so much. If Lu Chongqing obtained a foundation establishment elixir and privately sold it to Qingzhou Mountain, in her eyes it was already a great gesture. After all, it was very difficult for ordinary loose cultivators and families to acquire a foundation establishment elixir. Outside of chance and luck, or the Purple Shadow secret realm, they could only hope to buy it at auctions in the 3 great immortal cities. The foundation establishment elixir is not yet refined, so you don't need to speak explicitly about this matter. But you can hint at it, so the family can make preparations and try to purchase ingredients suitable for their foundation establishment. Lu Chongqing said with a smile, inhaling the fragrance of his wife's hair. Money wasn't his main concern. After all, he had received a lot of support from the Lu family, and he had connections with Lu Miaoge, Lu Miaohuan, Lu Miaoyun, Lu Lanshu, and so forth. What he truly cared about was whether the foundation establishment would be successful after giving away the elixir. Although Miao Feng and Mu Ping both had middle-grade spiritual roots, with a foundation establishment elixir, their chances of successful foundation establishment were around 40 to 50%. But frankly, this rate wasn't considered very high. He didn't want to give away the elixir only to have Qingzhou Mountain fail at foundation establishment. All right, I will speak to my uncle about this later and have Miao Feng and Mu Ping make the necessary preparations too. Lu Miaoge replied softly, her eyes full of tender affection. Once we have a new foundation establishment in the family, Sister Miaoge, you can also settle down and cultivate properly. After a few more years when the situation is stable, we, along with Huan Huan, will visit Qing Shan and Little Zhu at the Jinyang sect. Lu Chongqing held his wife and spoke. Okay, upon hearing these words, Lu Miaoge's face lit up with smiles, looking stunningly beautiful. Chapter 701, Su Ruyan. Is this a heaven-ranked demon beast? Once, her goals were foundation establishment and family. Now that she had achieved foundation establishment, her thoughts gradually focused on her family. All she hoped for was a happy family and for Bai Lake Mountain and Qingzhou Mountain to both prosper more and more. Bai Lake Mountain. To have Miss Su from the Su family stay at Bai Lake Mountain for a few days? At the mountain gate, Lu Miaoyun looked at the Patriarch Zhang and Su Ruyan before her, her delicate eyebrows slightly furrowed. Patriarch Zhang, Miss Su, please wait a moment, she said. She passed the message on to Ling Zixiao. If it had been an ordinary visit, she would have dared to make a decision. But with the recent incident involving the Copper Bell Rogue cultivator, she was unsure of what to do at the moment. To stay at our place for a few days? Ling Zixiao, upon hearing this, came to the mountain gate and appraised Su Ruyan. She had soft, shining, fiery red hair, a delicate and aloof face, a curvaceous figure, wearing a splendid dress interwoven with gold and red threads. Her looks, figure, and temperament were all top-notch. My husband has been at home for all these years. It's normal for him to attract a young lady on his rare outings, Ling Zixiao remarked to herself as she observed Su Ruyan. Otherwise, why would a young woman come to their home seeking refuge from disaster? And even if she did come to seek refuge, it wouldn't be by herself, would it? Miaoyun, please arrange for Miss Su to stay at Bai Lake Villa, Ling Zixiao said with a slight smile. Setting aside whether there was any relationship between Lu Chongqing and Su Ruyan, given the relationship between the Lu and Zhang families, and considering the face of the Yushui Su family, it would be difficult to refuse such a request from the other party. Very well, Miss Su, please follow me, Lu Miaoyun said immediately after hearing this, leading Su Ruyan to Bai Lake Villa. Afterward, Ling Zixiao invited Patriarch Zhang into the mountain for tea, inquiring why he had only sent Miss Su over. It was Miss Su herself who insisted. Patriarch Zhang explained with a wry smile. He mentioned that his family originally planned to settle Su Ruyan and several young family members in the Nine Dragons Market. But Su Ruyan expressed that Bai Lake Mountain was closer to Wugong Ridge, and she wished to stay there temporarily until her ancestors arrived. I truly apologize for bothering Senior Ling, Patriarch Zhang said as he cupped his hands. Had it not been for Su Ruyan's insistent request, he too would not have wanted to trouble Bai Lake Mountain. After all, sending people to the Nine Dragons Market would also ensure their safety, and sending them to Bai Lake Mountain instead would mean owing a favor. You are too courteous, Patriarch Zhang, Ling Zixiao replied on hearing this. Almost convinced of her earlier guess, Ling Zixiao felt this young lady must have feelings for Lu Chongqing, or else she wouldn't have taken such an initiative. After a brief conversation, Patriarch Zhang did not stay for further discussion and took his leave. By Lake Villa, Lu Miaoyun settled Su Ruyan in a tranquil attic. She told her she'd be staying there and could seek her out for anything she needed. "Thank you for your troubles, Mrs. Lu." Su Ruyan expressed her gratitude to Lu Miaoyun. So this is by Lake Mountain? I wonder if Lu Changsheng's heaven-ranked demon beast is on this by Lake Mountain? Su Ruyan looked out the window at the scenery, musing secretly to herself. Since being at Zhang family's place, she had sensed the aura of a heaven-ranked demon beast from Lu Changsheng. Therefore, she had been trying to find a way to get close to Lu Changsheng. She wanted to see the state of Lu Changsheng's heaven-ranked demon beast and whether there was a chance for her to obtain it. After all, her cultivation level was already at the 9th level of energy refinement, and it wouldn't take much longer before she could make a break for foundation establishment. However, she didn't want to achieve it just like that. Her desire was to contract a heaven-ranked demon beast first and then form a beastly Dao foundation. Only by doing so could she respond in kind at the family competition, exchanging tooth for tooth, blood for blood, returning all the hatred her father faced to those responsible. The recent event with the rogue cultivator delivering the clock made her realize it was an opportunity. So, she used it as a pretext to ask the Zhang family to send her to Bai Lake Mountain to see if she could detect the presence of a heaven-ranked demon beast. "Senior Hong Lian, with you concealing my form and aura, is it possible to deceive the great formation of Bai Lake Mountain?" Su Ruyan inquired in her mind. "This great formation of Bai Lake Mountain is only of the 2nd rank, and as long as it is not fully operational, it should not be a big problem," a serene, clear and gentle voice replied in Su Ruyan's mind. Just then the serene and clear voice paused. Su Ruyan felt something at that moment, turning her gaze toward the sky outside the window. La la la, there she saw a young woman in a moon-white dress, flying towards Bai Shui Lake with a little girl of 6 or 7 years old in a pink silk dress. Su Ruyan stared intently at the little girl's seat, a plump, ice-blue turtle emitting a faint chill, looking utterly adorable. Is this a heaven-ranked demon beast? Su Ruyan was a bit bewildered. She had been intending to use Senior Hong Lian's power to conceal herself and investigate by Lake Mountain. But unexpectedly, the heaven-ranked demon beast she had so longed for and thought about endlessly, she yearned for so greatly, appeared right before her eyes. If not for the reaction of the beast technique, she would hardly believe that the turtle the little girl was riding was a heaven-rank bloodline demon beast. Senior Hong Lian. Su Ruyan reached out with her mind. Indeed, this is a heaven-rank bloodline demon beast, the serene and clear voice spoke once again. Not only was Su Ruyan taken aback, but so was the voice in her head. Both were astonished beyond belief. It was hard to imagine that a heaven-ranked demon beast would be ridden and played with by a little girl. Red Leaf Valley Market. Since the inverted 5 elements formation that Ling Zixiao had set up was only a small formation, the required materials were not numerous. Ling Zixiao had also taken into consideration the rarity of materials and listed all possible substitutes. Therefore, it took Lu Changxing just 2 days to gather all the materials needed for the formation in the Red Leaf Valley Market. In those 2 days, Lu Changxing also received feedback from the other 3 families regarding their stance on the rogue cultivator incident, which was to be vigilant, contact each other immediately if anything happened, and provide mutual assistance. Chapter 702. Su Ruyan. Is this a heaven-ranked demon beast? After all, the 4 families couldn't possibly close off their mountains because of a single threat and abandon Red Leaf Valley Market. Following that, the 4 families jointly reported the matter to Qing Yun's sect. Though the sect would at most conduct a cursory investigation into such matters, they still needed to file a report. Sister Miaoga, if bandit cultivators really attack, send me a message right away. If there's danger, use the talisman I gave you, your safety comes first. Once I've settled some matters at home, I will come over, Lu Changxing instructed Lu Miaoga. Okay, Changxing, rest assured. Lu Miaoga's beautiful eyes were gentle as water, as she smiled warmly. Most of the time, it was she who told Lu Changxing to be careful and watch out. Now, to be cautioned by Lu Changxing like a little child, she found it slightly amusing, and a warm current surged in her heart. Lu Changxing hugged his wife, then concealing his true face, left Red Leaf Valley Market and returned to Bai Lake Mountain. On the way, He was highly vigilant to guard against the bandit cultivator who could be lying in wait for him. However, the journey was very smooth, and nothing unexpected occurred. Once home, Lu Chongqing handed over the array materials to Ling Zixiao. "My lord." At this time, Ling Zixiao conveyed a matter to Lu Chongqing. "Su Ruyan." At the mention of this name, Lu Changsheng's brows furrowed. "Correct. The Zheng family currently has no foundation establishment cultivators in residence and is afraid that bandit cultivators might visit after receiving the copper bell. Thus, the day after you, my lord, had departed, Patriarch Zhang sent this Miss Su to our by Lake Mountain. Hoping that this Miss Su could stay at our place for a while and wait for someone from the Yushui Su family to come." Ling Zixiao said so, her posture full and graceful, speaking with dignified elegance. "Where is she now?" Lu Chongqing inquired. "She has been arranged to stay at by Lake Villa." Ling Zixiao replied as such. She noticed that Lu Changsheng's expression was not quite right and asked, "My lord, is there a problem with this girl?" "It's not so much a problem, but when I previously visited the Zheng family for the funeral, I saw this girl." Lu Chongqing made no secret of it before Ling Zixiao. He indicated that while he was at the Zheng family, she kept stealing glances at him, which was not normal. "With a young and promising husband like yours, not only are you a foundation establishment cultivator and a master of the talisman path, but you are also a mountain lord, and on top of that, you're so handsome. It's perfectly normal for a young girl to sneak peeks and fall in love," Ling Zixiao said, her tone half jesting. "Are you making fun of your husband?" Lu Chongqing naturally detected the playful tone in her voice and wrapped his arms around her full waist. "Emma," Ling Zixiao let out a soft cry and then spoke earnestly. "Initially, I talked with Patriarch Zhang for a moment. His intention was to send the girl to Nine Dragons Market to stay temporarily, waiting for someone from the Yushui Su family to come. But the girl, on her own accord, suggested coming to by Lake Mountain. At that time, I thought this young girl had taken a liking to you, my lord. Now it seems she must have another motive." Ling Zixiao spoke, her elegant features revealing a hint of playfulness. "But besides talismans, I haven't revealed my alchemy skills. What can she be after?" Lu Chongqing stroked his chin as he said this. "I do not know that." Ling Zixiao gently shook her head. She initially thought Lu Chongqing had some connection with Su Ruyan, seeing as in her eyes, Lu Chongqing was an ideal partner in all respects except one could not easily judge matters of the opposite sex. "All right, you can proceed with the array formation. I must ask Yuner to keep an eye on this Miss Su from the Su family." Lu Changsheng's eyes narrowed as he spoke. If before he was just being cautious around Su Ruyan, now he felt there was definitely something amiss about her. "All right." Ling Zixiao nodded her head, not wanting to delay. She summoned the 2 array masters in the family to start setting up a formation on the summit of Baiyun Peak. "Yuner, Yongwan, these next few days, you could go and see Miss Su, chat with her from time to time." Lu Chongqing arrived at the Lu family mansion and said to Lu Miaoyun and Zhang Yongwan, both women, one is the lady of the Lu family and the other connected to the Zhang family, visiting Su Ruyan was normal, to see if they could catch any hint of intent. "Yes, husband." Upon hearing Lu Changsheng's words, both women nodded. Upon his request, they subconsciously assumed their husband must have an unusual relationship with this Miss Su from the Su family. Especially Zhang Yongwan. Although she lacked Lu Changsheng's divine sense, her female intuition made her take note of the Su family misglancing at her husband from time to time while they were at the Zheng family. She couldn't help but speculate in her heart, wondering if this Miss Su would become one of the sisters in the household. She had inquired about this Miss Su before. She was the pearl of the Yushui Su family, and it was unlikely she would marry easily. However, considering how proactive this Miss Su was, such an eventuality didn't seem impossible. Chapter 704. The Tree King emerges, inside the cave heaven. This. Ling Zixiao stared at the scene in a daze, her beautiful eyes revealing surprise and doubt. She knew that Lu Chongqing was breaking through to the middle stage of foundation establishment on his way back from Zhouxiao Immortal City. But at the moment, spiritual pressure surged around Lu Changsheng's body, far surpassing the middle stage of foundation establishment and reaching the late stage. Shi Yu, can you sense my magic aura? Lu Chongqing asked Xiao Siye. My lord, Xiao Daoist friend can't hear your voice right now. Ling Zixiao spoke out, then made a hand spell and conveyed the message to Xiao Siye. Chongqing, I can't sense your magical spiritual pressure, but somehow I can feel where you are, Xiao Siye said. Somehow you can feel where I am? Lu Chongqing raised his eyebrows upon hearing this. He thought to himself that there was such a method. My lord, do you have any means of communication with Xiao Daoist friend? The formation is primarily for hiding, illusion, and confusion. You and Xiao Daoist friend are both within the formation. If there's some treasure, you can still sense each other's presence. Ling Zixiao immediately said to Lu Chongqing. Means of communication treasure? Lu Chongqing subconsciously took out a yin-yang sensing talisman. But in the next moment, he figured out what was happening. Dao Foundation. When he was condensing his Dao Foundation, he used Xiao Siye's Supreme Yin Moonlight as the basis. Therefore, there was an inexplicable connection between them. That's also why the dual cultivation effects between him and Xiao Siye were far superior to others. Now, without the jade pendant to conceal his aura and running his magical spiritual pressure to its peak, and with them not being far from each other, Xiao Siye was able to sense him through the Dao Foundation. It's okay, it doesn't affect anything, Lu Chongqing said, then with a slight move of his mental spirit, he activated the 9 treasures Rui Bone, 9 treasures Rui, Qi. Boom! In an instant, the mana in Lu Changsheng's dantian surged like a breached river and an erupting volcano, his spiritual pressure climbing steadily. This spiritual pressure made Ling Zixiao beside him feel a certain pressure. This! Ling Zixiao looked at Lu Chongqing in front of her, her beautiful eyes filled with disbelief. It was astonishing enough that Lu Chongqing had revealed the spiritual pressure of the late stage of foundation establishment. But now, his spiritual pressure was still rising, almost surpassing the foundation establishment stage. The air around them felt dense and heavy, making it difficult to breathe.